Good evening, good morning, and good day. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to the Daytona 500 organized by Aero League Racing. Today, we are going to be driving around Daytona 24 hours course in the Group 4 machinery for about exactly 141 laps in support of the Mind charity organization. Welcome, everyone. This is the stint number 1 out of 2. We will get to the whole formats of the race a little bit later, but first, it is crucial to mention what we are racing for today. As mentioned before, this is the Mind charity organization providing many different ways of support for people struggling with various mental health issues, and today we're going to try and help. So we are collecting donations that are going to go directly to this charity. As you can see, we do have a set goal of £1,000, but obviously it's not limited to it, and we're actually almost already there, even though the race has not gotten underway yet. Any sort of monetary support you can provide is obviously greatly appreciated, and even if not, it's perfectly fine, because you just being here, enjoying racing, liking the stream is all that we need, because even that pushes the stream further in the YouTube algorithm, helping us reach as many people as possible. But obviously, money is not the only way of support you can offer. If you know anyone who is struggling with mental health in any capacity, the biggest support you can offer them is your support, basically, in any way possible. And if you do not know how you can help them, there is a Mind organization YouTube channel that provides plenty of information on not only how to help others, but also how to help yourself. So if you are struggling, even if you're not sure at any point with any mental health issue, there are plenty of ways you can find to help yourself through others, through different organizations such as Mind. So it is very important that we stay there for each other. I'm going to mention that hopefully many times throughout the stream, but today, for now, let us get the rate settings cleared up. So, if you remember, a year ago we have done the same event, and there was, again, Group 4 cars around Bathurst, and the beauty of Group 4 cars is that it's quite easy to balance people out driving these cars. So essentially, we have ended up with the fastest drivers being in the slowest cars. There is quite a big spread of these cars on paper around this track, but when you balance it out with various skills of different drivers, it provides actually some very close racing. And for this race in particular, we have gone one step further. So instead of one driver driving the car for the whole race, we now have 2. So we have 15 teams consisting of 2 drivers each, and today we are going to start with stint number 1 with the quote-unquote slower drivers starting off the race, and then the stint number 2 is going to be driven by faster drivers. The first stint is going to be 70 laps long, as far as I know, and the stint number 2 is going to be 71 laps. In terms of the race format, it is important to remember that there are tire rules that all drivers need to follow, and if you don't end up following those rules throughout those 70 laps, there is something seriously wrong with your understanding of racing rules. So hopefully, we will not need to disqualify anyone or penalize anyone for not following the tire rules, but they're quite simple. We have all 3 tire compounds available, and all 3 compounds have to be used at some point for a minimum stint of 10 laps. And just to clear things up, once you have done 10 laps on each tire, the next stint doesn't have to be 10 laps. So, for example, if you've done 10 laps of softs already, the next stint can only be 3 laps. So, as long as you've done 10 laps in a row on each tire, you've complied with the regulation. That is all the drivers need to remember at this point. earlier this week on Monday, the qualifying has gone down. And we will have, actually, let me try and find them on the track. And there we go. Team Hyundai, currently driven by Claus, will be starting on pole position thanks to BX putting an absolutely amazing lap in qualifying. Although slipstream assisted. Oh my god. Okay, so all right. Well, good thing that Claus starts on pole position. Yeah, anyway, although BX's lap in qualifying was slipstream assisted, it's how you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to drive around Daytona road course, or actually any Daytona layout. This race is going to be all about slipstream. If you lose slipstream at any point, your race is anything but done. You can obviously recover, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. To complete the front row, we will have the Team Dodge, Viking Dog, putting his car on the first row, second position on the grid. Do we have anyone out on the track? Yes, we do. Polty, Viking's teammate, out on the track at the moment in the Dodge Viper, starting in P2. And then we have the highest qualified non-Tier 1 driver in Skinsey, driving the Ferrari 458. Fracas is his teammate, who's going to be starting. I'm pretty sure, yeah, Fracas is going to be starting the car for this race, but it's going to be a long one. It's going to be a very long race, and we all know how Daytona is, and the starting position doesn't really matter. It does to an extent, but if you're starting further back, and I'm in no way encouraging such behavior, but you do have an opportunity to make up a few positions off the start in various ways, hopefully completely legal, but we've all seen what can happen, especially with some drivers, allegedly starting on wet tires. Hopefully it is not the case for the actual race start. It's going to be happening in about 7 minutes. But the idea behind this race is that we're going to have 2 stints driven by 2 different tires, and then their collective race time is going to be summed up at the end. And the team with the shortest total race time are going to be our winners. And hopefully, we're going to witness some very close racing, because these cars are supposed to balance the drivers out as much as they can. Although we do still have the top 2 Tier 1 drivers on the front row, but it doesn't mean anything, because supposedly they are driving the slowest cars. And they're not going to be starting this race. So their teammates are going to have to be the ones trying to protect the lead that they've gained through the qualifying. And actually, I've just noticed we are already 80% through our goal, and we haven't even started yet. So it looks like we are missing 2 people to start. Actually, no, wait. We're missing, well, there's 12 people readied up. There should be 15, so I'm assuming one driver is just not readied up. We are missing my teammate, unfortunately. So if you guys don't know, I'm going to be driving the second stint of this race. And my teammate is currently missing. Well, hopefully they eventually show up. But if not, I'm probably going to be here. Is it normal to not hear the game? That is a fantastic question, because it is not. And now you are supposed to hear the game. Thank you, Viking. Greatly appreciate it. The first person to pick up after about 9 minutes of being live. But thank you very much. That is a fantastic entry into the bus stop chicane. We can already see, actually, quite a lot of penalties being picked up by people, and that is going to be another huge factor in this race, especially the bus stop chicane. You do want to carry as much speed through this section of track as possible, but obviously it comes with a great risk of picking up, well, an equivalent of a racing prison sentence, life sentence for that matter, which is normally around 1 to 1.5 seconds right here, because we are running harsh, well, strong track limits penalties, and I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, we are, maybe not, we are potentially also running the heavy damage model. At the very least, the light damage is definitely on. Not sure about heavy, but if there is heavy damage, the stakes in this race are very high. Very, very high. And another thing, that these cars are not only very different on their pace, they're also very different on their tire life. So for some drivers, it is just completely impossible to drive 10 laps on soft tires, although they have to because the rules are rules. But certain cars can take their tires a lot longer than others. And primarily this comes from the fact that unlike the Group 3 class, the Group 4 is a mix of rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, and front-wheel drive cars, which obviously have very different tire wear characteristics. So obviously the front-wheel drive cars are going to wear out their fronts a lot faster. So we are going to have a lot of different strategy calls, a lot of different ways people can call their strategy. We are potentially going to see people doing less stops depending on how their tire wear is, but all of this is going to play out throughout the race. I'm going to have to try and keep on top of all this. So let's quickly look through the tires that we have right now, assuming that the drivers are going to start with these tires on the cars, assuming that we have all about 3 minutes left until the start of the race. Team McLaren that are starting in 12th position on softs. Then we got Team Dodge on softs as well. Team Mazda, one of the fastest cars in the game, starting on mediums. That is an interesting call. Then we've got Team Hyundai, driven by Claus, on mediums as well. Samer, Team Jaguar, very interesting, on hards. Now that is going to be the car that's most likely going to go backwards. They are starting 9th, so they are already somewhat towards the back. So I'm going to assume we can expect this car to drop to the back almost immediately off the start. But if they can stick to the group, stay in the slipstream, this is going to be a game changer for them, because they are going to be on a slower start. And if they can stay with the pack, it's going to massively change their race for the better. Then we've got Auto for Team Lamborghini with a massive 6 seconds penalty and damage, starting on medium tires. Team Porsche, a beautiful looking car, I must say, mostly because of delivery, not because of the car itself. Thank you, Samer, for $100. Wow. I'm probably not going to be able to stay on top of all donations, but this is the one that I noticed, and thank you very much. Can we please get a quick BLP update? Just for Team Jaguar exclusively. You know, just to balance things out, you know. Anyway, Team Porsche on medium tires. Team Genesis, objectively, the best team out there. Unfortunately, starting in P7 due to various mechanical difficulties with the car. But Canada is going to be starting the race for Team Genesis on soft tires. Beautiful looking car, beautiful looking livery. Awesome drivers lineup. Basically anything you'd want from a racing team. Then we have Team Subaru on hard tires. Another team, the second team, starting on hard tires. Team Alfa Romeo, another car suffering from top-end speed, starting on hard tires as well. So we are going to have a group of drivers on hard tires to start the race. So they're not going to be alone. Hopefully, it's in their best interest to try and work together. Team Nissan, driven by Pyro, is starting on hard tires as well. Team Aston Martin, hard tires for them as well. Team Honda on medium tires, and then finally Team Ferrari on hard tires as well. So we do have a very nice spread of tire selections. It is mostly going to end up... the cars are probably going to split into different groups. So we're probably going to have the soft tire runners and the medium tire runners, and then hard tire runners all grouped together. If they can, if all of the other drivers can stay close to the soft tire runners, that is going to be a game changer. For the soft tire runners, I think the crucial thing off the start is going to be to try and pull away as much as possible, stay in the group, work together to try and extend their lead over those starting on slower tires. So they're going to have an advantage of track position. going into the later stages of this race. But as I mentioned, this race, the first stint, the whole race is 141 laps, and stint 1 is 70 laps. So we are here for a long time, so strap yourselves in, get yourself comfortable, because this is going to be a long race and a very entertaining one, let me tell you that for free. Should be starting in a couple of minutes as soon as we get the final driver in. So far, Polti with the fastest practice lap of 54.8 on the soft tyres. Their tyre wear is looking pretty good for a Viper. Not that bad after all. Canada is actually in second place, but once again, those penalties, they are unforgiving. And there we go. This is our 15th driver joining the lobby, so we should be starting very, very soon. Pretty sure once Duafin is readied up, we're supposed to be starting the race. This is going to be a rolling start to potentially minimize the carnage into turn 1. But I want to hear from you guys watching live. What are your predictions for turn 1? Well, first of all, are we going to see a big incident? An incident into turn 1? And if yes, how big? If you think there is going to be a crash into turn 1, how many cars do you think are going to be involved? Because even though it is a flying start or rolling start, the gaps between cars are still not massive, and all of these cars are very different in how they get off the line. So potentially, especially as mentioned in the chat, drivers starting higher up on the grid, but on hard tires, might be potential threats towards ahead of them. Maybe even behind them. You never know. With turn 1 on Gran Turismo around Daytona, you never know how it's going to go down. Hopefully it's going to be clean, but if it's not, we're going to be in for some massive entertainment here. 4 cars off? Well, that sounds about reasonable. We'll see how it's going to go down. There's a beautiful looking McLaren here, driven by Turchi. One of the faster cars, I believe, on the game. And that is another big issue with the chicane. Not only it is a danger with the track limits, it is also quite difficult to avoid spinning out, especially in the mid-engine car. So those driving all-wheel drive cars, front-engine all-wheel drive cars, should have the most stable cars. Unfortunately, it does come with a trade-off, which is massive understeer. But we are going to see how many incidents we're going to notice throughout the race. There are going to be many, probably. The question is, how many of them are we going to notice? And just before we start the race, if you are just joining us, first of all, welcome. Hopefully you are doing well. This is the Daytona 500 or Daytona 141 laps, if you will, in support of the Mind Charity Organization. Welcome everyone. We're going to be starting in a couple of minutes. Once the grid is sorted, we need all the drivers to ready up for that. And unfortunately, I think we are missing one driver now. So somebody left, but they are hopefully going to rejoin soon. We are waiting for the grid to be set. As I mentioned before, the qualifying has taken place earlier this week on Monday, with Team Hyundai and Team Dodge starting on the front row. And we are going to be starting as soon as one of the drivers comes back, which is a great piece of information. I'm hoping I do not need to do anything specific to spectate the race. I'm not readied up, which is good, because I'm not... Oh, no, this is not what we want to do. We want to spectate. Perfect. There we go. Hopefully it's just going to pull me into the race as a spectator. There we go. Super Cracker is our final driver to join, well, rejoin the lobby. And we all should be good to go. As a quick reminder, before we begin, if you want to donate to the Mine Charity Organization, you can see the QR code on the screen. All you have to do is just scan it with your phone, and it's going to take you directly to the donation page, or you can open the description of the live stream, and the first link at the top is the donation link. Well, regardless, we will figure it out. Hopefully, I'm not going to miss any of the T1 action. But hopefully, there's going to be nothing to see into turn 1 on lap 1. But we all know how Gran Turismo is sometimes. And one thing I do want to mention is that the lag seems to be pretty much non-existent from the majority of cars, at least from my end. Everything looks nice and smooth. We all know that the Daytona infield is one of those tracks where all the consoles, PS4 and PS5, struggle somewhat. Especially through this session, through the second hairpin of the infield, but so far it looks fine. The majority of cars do not seem to be lagging at all, even those taken part from the other side of the planet. So it should be all fine, at least on that front. Yeah, most of the people seem perfectly stable in terms of their connection. A couple of seconds until we begin the race, and the Daytona 500 by Aero Racing, support of the Mine Charity Organization, is going to get underway. I don't know if I mentioned before, but we are going to have the day and night transition, so most likely this stint is going to end in the nighttime. That is beautiful. That is a beautiful spin coming out of the chicane by Fracas. And here we are. We are ready to go. Let's go on board with Claus to start the race. Show your support for your team, or not your team, but for your favorite team in the chat. We are ready to go for the Daytona 500 in the support of Mine Charity Organization by Aero Racing. Here we go. Cars are rolling in preparation for the start. We'll see the lights go out very, very soon, and the race is going to go underway. And here we go. Claus in team with Team Hyundai, casually approaching turn 1. Looks like the gaps behind quite far in between. We have Fracas challenging Dodge for second position immediately. It looked like Lamborghini was going for a move there, but they are very close to the Mazda. It's going to have a very questionable exit out of turn 1. I think there is a fight for... There was a bit of a challenge for P2. Claus goes for almost a reverse entry to turn 2, I think, for the first hairpin. He's probably going to lose that position, gets a penalty. Welcome to Gran Turismo. Polti takes over the lead after only a couple of corners in the Dodge. Claus slots in behind, although immediately dives down the inside of Polti. Is it going to work out? It is, although he is going to lose that position once the penalty kicks in. Claus back into the lead with that half a second over his head. Polti in the Team Dodge, and P2 challenged by Fracas immediately behind Ryan and P4. Challenging the top 3. Then there is a little bit of a gap to P5, which is Auto. Super Cracker under a little bit of a pressure from Canada, 3.5 tenths between them, but we do know that the Genesis G70 is absolutely useless in a straight line, unfortunately losing time. That is just sad, but that does mean that sort of invites Wagjams and Sama, who are currently, well, Wagjack and SD, sorry, fighting for P8. SD getting P8 briefly, although massively overshoots the chicane and loses a lot more positions than he gained in the process, dropping down to P11, I think. Oh, and Sama goes for a spin. This is the first half spin, well, second half spin of the race as we go back towards the front, where Claus is going to serve his half a second penalty. That is actually going to promote Fracas into P1, who found his way past Polti. So it's Ferrari leading at the end of lap 1 in front of Dodge, followed by Claus and P3, and Auto is fighting with Ryan for P4. Ryan was quite a bit ahead on the previous first lap, but now is under pressure, gains a position on Claus, goes up into P3, but he is going to have to be on the outside. And it's going to give Claus an opportunity to come back at him, but you do get quite a good exit on the outside line there. Claus immediately challenged by Auto as well. Is Auto going to have some room to try and go for that P4? Ideally, you do want the inside for that corner. Is close going to defend. He positions his car more in the middle, but doesn't really defend all the way. Also doesn't go for the inside, and is immediately under pressure from Cracker in the Mazda behind. Canada in a little bit of a lonely P7 at the moment, 2 seconds behind P6, 1.5 seconds ahead of P8, which is the Porsche of O'Leary. Wagjamp in P9, Turchi in P10, Juafit in P11. Esti after that failed overtake attempt into the bust-up chicane, fighting against a Subaru WRX to keep that P12, although it's probably not going to happen. It is a long straight. Subaru does have all the beans that you might want. Not sure about the Aston Martin, but it looks like Moose King is not really thinking about a move into this corner. Probably a wise decision. There was a little bit of contact by the looks of it between them. And there's more contact. OG Moose King goes off the track and loses positions, loses time, loses all the momentum down the back straight. Esti picks up a 1 second penalty for, I'm assuming, cutting the corner after being slightly pushed on the rear bumper. Aero is challenging him for P12, but it's not really going to matter as soon as Esti serves that penalty. And Sama is currently recovering in last place. Oh, I apologize. I have missed something big because Polte is leading by 3.3 seconds. Fracas is down into P2, and there's a massive fight for the second position, essentially, from second to sixth, I want to say. All basically within 1 second of each other. Fracas is currently in P2, somehow lost P1, and on top of that, 3.5 seconds to the race leader Polte in the Dodge Viper. Also found his way into P3. Fracas is on Haas. That is a correct observation, but I don't think it would explain 3.5, almost 4 seconds in one lap, but it might be an explanation. Fracas on Haas in doing an amazing job staying in P2 for now, but how long can he do it? Because Auto behind. Oh, goodbye. Claus goes for a little bit of a exploration tour through the infield. As I was saying, Auto behind on the inside, actually, of Fracas on medium tires, and Ryan is on medium tires as well. Super Cracker, medium tires too, so Fracas is, well, most likely going to be overtaken here, but it hasn't happened yet. And the pace difference aren't massive between the hard and medium tires. It is still big, but not as big as between hards and softs. That's why Polte is just pulling away at the moment. In P1, 4.5 seconds ahead, almost 5 seconds ahead. Fracas stays ahead through the chicane, but this is where the slipstream fest is going to begin. Auto in P3 actually opened up a bit of a gap to Super Cracker, and Canada actually found his way up into P5 after all of those mistakes. One of them being Ryan, I assume, dropping down from P4 to P6, being challenged by O'Leary and Wagjamps for that P6. How's it going to go down into turn 1? Oh, this might get messy. Let's hope that it doesn't, but Ryan stays towards the inside of the corner, trying to defend the inside line. O'Leary and Wagjamps go side by side. O'Leary does have the inside. Oh, very late on the brakes, almost into the back of Ryan. Keeps the inside line for now, but Wagjamps with a massive momentum advantage on the exit of turn 1. Does have the inside for the first hairpin. Hugs the inside. Is he going to get a good enough exit? He is. Up into P7 goes Wagjamp. O'Leary down to P8, and Turchi's right there in P9. Ryan is immediately looking forward at overtaking Canada for P6. Canada is under threat immediately. This car does not have anything to offer against others. Ryan takes that P5 back, but he was right in that conversation for the top 3, so he would love to try and get back into that fight, but it's going to be difficult. More than 3 seconds separate them. Canada is probably not going to be able to do anything about the Honda NSX in the straight line. The G70, more like G69 because it's got no beans in the straight line, although it is gaining. Auto, we just saw in the background, found his way past Fracas, and I'm probably going to assume that Fracas is not going to fight this too much. His goal is to stay with Auto because he is on hard tires. He's going to have to spend another 7 laps on these tires before he can switch over to something more enjoyable. So if he can stay with Auto, and extend that gap to the cars behind. That would be huge for him. Canada wasn't able to do anything about that 5th position of Ryan. He does have the Alfa Romeo of Wagjams immediately behind, but both of these cars are struggling with top end quite a bit. Canada is losing a lot of time to Ryan in the straight line. Wagjams is closing in, goes for the outside line, isn't going to work. Alfa might be a little bit unstable on the brakes. Goes to the outside line. There's a dirty side of the track there. Nothing's going to happen, unfortunately, for Wagjams. Canada keeps his P6, but it's going to be a massive fight for him to keep that position with the pace difference of all the cars. Frackers is just about holding on to the slipstream of Auto. 8 tenths behind. He does need to close in a little bit to stay in the slipstream for the big straight, which is going to be tricky on hard tyres. Pulte is just stomping away in the big B8 powered Dodge Viper, currently purple by almost half a second through the infield. But those tyres are going to start disappearing very soon. The gaps are opening up a little bit. Not a lot of cars are in the slipstream range, although saying that, Pyro is moving up the field like an absolute rocket, already on the back of the top 10, quarter of a second behind Claus, who started on pole position. That is a massive downfall from P1 to P10. Is Pyro going to go for the inside line? It's probably not the best of ideas. He doesn't, but Joafin says, well, if you don't, I will. Goes for the inside on Pyro. Pyro kind of changes his mind a little bit, goes into the back of Claus. Not ideal for his run through the chicane. Oh, loses momentum. Joafin is going to be all over the back of him. Claus picks up another 2 seconds penalty. As I was saying, these are deadly around here. Now it's going to be a drag race that is not going to last for very long, because Pyro somehow picked up 1.5 seconds of a penalty through that chicane. So all that progress is going to be undone for Pyro. Drops back to P13. Terci is looking for a move on the Porsche of O'Leary. Goes to the outside line. It is wise from O'Leary to defend the inside line, but he goes a little bit deep. Terci, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing this name, tries to look for a switchback. Unfortunately, nothing happening there. Canada up ahead is fighting with Wagjams. Let's take a quick look. Side by side with Wagjams on the exit, does not get that good of a run. Canada stays ahead, but losing time massively. He is on hard tyres, but Wagjams is on hard tyres as well, so that explains the pace difference to Ryan and why Ryan was so straightforward with his overtake for P5. But they do have the same tyres on that G70 and Alfa Romeo 4C. Terci is going to be in the slipstream of O'Leary on this massive back straight on the run up to the bus stop chicane. Is he going to have enough of a momentum advantage to try and overtake O'Leary before the bus stop chicane? This is probably not the best of ideas to overtake into the chicane. We've seen people attempt that, and it has never yet come out as a successful overtake. But maybe before the chicane, if Terci can pull it off. Is he going to look to the inside line? That is a beautiful camera angle that does not give us any information. No, he stays behind, thinks better of it. Probably a wise decision, because now he's going to have an even bigger straight on the run up into turn 1. I'm going to have to keep a close eye on Wagjams, who's less than half a second behind Canada. But Terci is 1.5 tenths behind O'Leary. He's going to go to the outside line. No, he sits behind for now. Probably a little bit of fuel saving, another wise thing to do. But is he going to attempt a move into turn 1? Wagjams is looking for a move around Canada as well. But he does need to be closer. Goes to the outside line. Is it going to work out? Very close to the wall. Actually grazes the wall a little bit. Not close enough for an overtake. O'Leary, meanwhile, defends the inside line from Terci. Beautiful driving there. Beautiful defensive driving from the Porsche. Oh, Terci basically pushing O'Leary on the exit of turn 1. Goes to the outside line. Meanwhile, ST and Joafin are fighting over P10. ST keeping that P10 for now. Meanwhile, I think Pyro is being challenged by Claus for P12, I think. P13, P12. O'Leary is currently on medium tires, right? Correctly mentioned by BX in the live chat that Turchi is on hard tires, so that is a very good stint. They did start... No, they did not start on P9. They started in P12, I'm pretty sure. So Turchi, after starting P12, found his way up into the top 10, into P9 on hard tires. That is a beautiful stint by Turchi so far. And as we can see, there's absolutely no tire wear on them tires. So he can basically go as long as the fuel allows. Whether he's going to do so or not, that is another question. It looks all very calm into the top 5. Polte currently leading the way, 7.5 seconds ahead of the whole field. Dipping a wheel onto the infield is not the best of ideas, probably for tire wear and stability of the car. But he can do whatever he wants. He's leading by 7.5 seconds. I'm not in the position to tell him how to drive as he sets another purple lap. 54.777 out here. Absolutely moving forward. Auto in a very solid P2 right now on medium tires. 2 seconds ahead of Fracas. Fracas with an amazing stint on hard tires. Currently holds you down P3 after starting in P3. So beautiful stint from him so far. Cracker. P4 on absolutely non-existent almost front tires. The rear tires are not worn at all, so at the pit stop they might as well just switch them around, save another set, and let them out again. Ryan and P5, starting P4, lost 1 position to the Mazda, but still a very solid stint. Canada is still defending from whack jams, both on hard tires. The tire wear on Canada's car is a lot worse compared to the Alfa Romeo 4C of whack jams, but still holding down that P6. Turchi, meanwhile, I apologize, found his way into P8 even though he is on hard tires. Now is under attack from all 3 cars of SD in the Aston Martin. O'Leary dropping down to P10 from P8, not ideal. And Juafin is right there on medium tires using weak ABS setting. That is very interesting. Not sure how that's going to go down for him, but P11 is a very solid position on medium tires. O'Leary's on medium tires as well. Essie on medium tires, and now Turchi is absolutely bossing it around this track on hard tires, picking up positions after starting P12 up into P8. But the question is, can he defend from this whole pack of medium runners? Esti looks for the inside, doesn't have the momentum there. Hopefully doesn't go for a dive. Oh, a little bit of a touch on the rear bumper, not ideal through there. Turchi is unsettled, to say the least. Picks up a penalty, completely unjustified, but this is Gran Turismo, welcome. And loses that position to Esti. A little bit of a questionable overtake by Esti, I'm not gonna lie. Immediately under attack from Juafit, who has an even bigger penalty. And O'Leary's enjoying all this because he knows he's gonna get those 2 positions for free. Even though the move was quite questionable by Esti, I am not going to lie to you. That P8 is still P8. On medium tires, running 7/10 ahead of O'Leary, who lost 1 position, then another 2, and then gained another 2 courtesy of penalties. And all that work that Turchi was putting in over the course of those 9 laps is almost completely undone, losing 2 positions. Meanwhile, Juafin dropped all the way down to P13 behind Claus, who is so far the absolute... who showed us an absolute masterclass of how to lose positions. More than position a lap from P1 all the way down to P12. But you know what? It's fine. He's got a whole race ahead of him to try and recover. And then his teammate is obviously going to pick up the pieces. In the second stint, one of the fastest drivers in Aero League racing, BX is going to take over the wheel of this car. Juafin is very close to him. Probably going to look for that overtake on the back straight. OG Moose King in 14, and Sama after that big spin. Big off. Oh, we have yellow flag somewhere. Oh! I am not helping Claus at all. It's going downhill fast. It's going downhill fast so far. P1 to P14. Well, let's let him be for now. White Jams is still behind Canada. At this point, he's most likely not trying to overtake as aggressively as he was before. Most likely looking forward to trying to save a little bit of fuel. Actually, let's check the fuel. The fuel is absolutely identical. So White Jams is not doing anything productive sitting behind Canada. apart from maybe pulling away from cars behind, but they're fighting so hard. They're picking penalties up left, right, and center. So these two are absolutely glued together, fighting. Well, not really fighting, but pretending to fight. Although that P6, Wagjams goes to the outside line again. Is it going to work this time? 50th time is not the charm. Stays back in P7, although Canada very deep on the exit. Doesn't get the best of exits, but he is going to have the inside line for the first hairpin of the infield section. Oh, goes deep again. That is not great. Those hard tires are wearing out. And finally, after decades of trying to find his way past, Wagjams moves up into P6. The question is he going to be able to hold that position? In the background, Pyro on a little bit of a recovery drive, was making moves, made a mistake, making moves again on the back of that group of O'Leary, Tertiary, and somebody else behind? No, that is only Pyro right behind them. Wagjams is pulling out a sizable gap to Canada for, well, less than 4 tenths. Not going to be enough to break the slipstream, but G70 isn't the best of cars in the straight line. But most importantly, take a look at this. 9 tenths. Oh my god! These front tires are not existent for Cracker. He is losing pace massively. Lost that position to P4, but there was probably not a fight at all with this tire wear. We are on lap 10, so we are probably going to see a lot of drivers coming into the pits. Let's see, Pulte is staying out. His tires are in okay condition. Auto, 10th lap on mediums. Is he coming in? No, he is staying out. Fracas on the hard tires. Oh, he is gonna go a long way. Those tires are perfectly fine. Ryan is staying out as well. Cracker is most definitely coming in. There's no reason to stay out, and he does come into the pits. Gives up that P5. Canada is into the pits as well to get rid of those hard tires. Cracker and Canada into the pits. Wagjams up into P5. ST up into P6. O'Leary P7 Tertiary back looking at the rear bumper of that Porsche, although I'm pretty sure it is a beautiful bumper. He would rather have a clear track ahead of him. O'Leary with a very questionable line into turn 1, but somehow does get enough momentum to stay ahead of Tertiary. But meanwhile, say hello to your main man, Pyro, making moves on hard tires up to P8, immediately challenging O'Leary on medium tires. Already 7 tenths behind, 6 tenths now, and gaining in the slipstream range. Pyro is making moves out here. Canada comes out of the pits ahead of Cracker. Did not refuel by the looks of it. Goes into medium tires. That is a very good decision, I would say. Lighter car, medium tires. Cracker is back out on... No, he wasn't mediums. Out on hards with a full tank. Not sure about that decision, but I'm gonna have to wait and see how they filter out once all the pit stops are done. Tertiary clearly realizes the superiority of Pyro as a driver, decides not to go for a move here, just pushes him along the back straight. He says, "Do the work for me, sir. I will follow you," because he knows Pyro is going to be challenging the leader in no time. Coming into the bus stop chicane, Pyro is 6.5 tenths behind O'Leary. That is enough to be getting that juicy slipstream. Is it going to be enough to make a move, though? Meanwhile, Frank is into the pits off of those hard tires. Half a tank of fuel, probably going to go on mediums without any refueling. The GTR is gaining on the Porsche GT4, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Tertiary into the pits to get rid of those hard tires. He is tired of looking at these two cars. Probably going to try and overtake them on this strategy. So that moves Pyro up into P7 after the pit stop from Fracas. O'Leary up into P6, ST P5, Wagjam P4, Ryan P3, Auto in P2. Almost 10 seconds behind Pulte into the lead. Whose tires are going off? Those soft tires are no longer existent. So we are probably going to see a pit stop at the end of this lap. Although maybe not, because even dead soft tires are still somewhat faster than new mediums and especially hards. Oh, I am so sorry, Pyro. I missed an overtake for P6. Moves past O'Leary on hard tires. The absolute man of the hour. Hard tires don't matter, don't care. Up into P6, past the Porsche in the infield on medium tires. Just like that, as easy as that. This is probably our closest fight out on the track at the moment. We will get another burst of action once everybody completes their pit stops and we see where people come out. But Pyro is still not in the clear. O'Leary is right behind, feeling quite embarrassed, I'm pretty sure, by the absolute dominance of Pyro at the moment. But he doesn't have enough. He doesn't have the beans. He doesn't have the commitment into the bust-up chicane to try and make a move, and Pyro sits behind, 6/10 behind at the moment. Polti gives up the lead, goes into the pits. Auto assumes the lead of the race on medium tires in the Lamborghini Huracan. Starting the lap number 13. Ryan stays out as well. Wagjam stays out as well. Esti stays out. Pyro stays out. He doesn't need to pit. He's got the pace. O'Leary stays out as well. Moose King actually gained quite a bit of time on O'Leary and Pyro. Recovering a little bit. OG Moose King stays out on hard tires. That is a long stint on hard tires. Fracas moves. Well, he's not going to move past Polti because they did have like a 10-second separation between them. Polti comes out of the pits in P7 on medium tires and about 3/4 of a tank of fuel in the car. Immediately behind O'Leary, so this is going to be an interesting challenge for Polti to try and find his way past this traffic because it is going to be crucial for his race. Fracas is on soft tires, and as we saw, Ferrari just hovers over the track, not wearing them tires at all. Polti immediately within the slipstream range of O'Leary. O'Leary's probably not going to fight it too much, although it is sort of in his interest to fight other cars as much as possible to try and slow them down. But I don't think he's going to have anything to offer at this point. Polti is a fast driver, Dodge is a fast car, he's got much fresher tires. O'Leary does have the slipstream from Pyro to sort of use it to his advantage to defend a little bit. But the question is that going to be enough? Maybe they are going to come into the pits at the end of this lap. O'Leary can still go. Actually looks at a potential move on Pyro, goes to the inside. That is very questionable. Please do not do that. Stays behind. That is a very wise decision. Very wise man right here driving this Porsche. But that does leave him vulnerable to Polti. It doesn't matter. He was so slow. Polti gave him a massive biff on the rear bumper, providing all the acceleration O'Leary wanted out of that corner. But Polti's probably not going to be that patient into turn 1. He does want to move past these guys. He does have quite a bit of a gap on Fracas, although it's not massive. It's not massive. Fracas himself is sizing up a move on OG Moose King. Moose on, well, very worn out hard tires. Fracas on fresh, crispy, soft tires. Is Polti? No, he's not close enough to make a move. Fracas goes to the inside line. Purple left by half a second. This man is on a charge. Half a tank of fuel in the car. Very light, very committed. Moose King gives up this position, doesn't need to fight it realistically. Goes down to P10 while Fracas moves up into P9. He is on the charge to catch Polti, who has just made a move on O'Leary through the infield, making use of those fresh tires, moving up to P6. But you can see Fracas is right there. Fracas is in the prime position to assume the lead of the race if he is smart with traffic. Polti is immediately behind Pyro, half a second. Should have enough momentum to potentially overtake him before the bust-up chicane. If he can, it is a dangerous move, but if he can, it is going to be big for his race because he does want to put as many cars between himself and Fracas as possible. Yes, he is going to be slower because he is on medium tires, so eventually Fracas is going to catch him, but it's a matter of when. He does need to delay that moment as much as he can. So going up into the final sector, or penultimate sector of the track, right behind Pyro. Is he going to have enough beans to go down the inside? Pyro is actually going to go defensive. Interesting move. Moves over to the center of the track. There's nothing you can do on the outside of that corner. Polti sits back, loses all the momentum, but he is going to have the slipstream down the main straight. Fracas is half a second behind O'Leary. Oh, this is going to be big. 3/10 purple. Potentially going to see a 53.9 here, maybe even faster than that. O'Leary just moves out of the way. He thinks he doesn't need to fight this position at all. Probably a good decision, but that puts Fracas 1.4 seconds behind Polti. This is our provisional fight for the lead. Polti is right behind Pyro. Pyro goes defensive. He doesn't want to give up that position that easily, but Polti is on much superior tires. Goes to the outside. It is very dirty there, so your braking performance and turning performance is not going to be nearly as good as you want it to be, but Pyro makes it easy for him, just stays out of the way things. Oh, you kids can play. I'm going to sit back and watch. But Fracas is right there. Is Pyro going to try and hold Fracas up, or is he going to let him go immediately? I don't think it's for Pyro to decide, because Fracas, with a massive momentum advantage on the exit of the first hairpin, looking for a move into the second hairpin, right on the rear bumper of Pyro. He is sniffing. Pyro defends the middle of the track. Doesn't go fully to the inside. Very wise decision for Pyro. Very good driving from Pyro right here in this stage of the race. Fracas does have the advantage, the tire advantage, the pace advantage at this moment, but it doesn't mean anything. Pyro is very good at defending his position through the infield, but on the exit, the car of Pyro is just not going to have enough grip and them worn hard tires. But on the straights, potentially, Fracas will have slight advantage. Is he going to look for a move here? Goes to the outside. Pyro is determined at keeping this position. Is he going to give it up? The answer is absolutely not. He stays on the inside. Oh, Fracas just about squeezes in front of him, and we are looking at a provisional fight for the lead. Fracas in P6 currently, but provisionally P2. Polti in P1, but Polti is on medium tires. Fracas's tires are a little bit more worn because he did stop earlier, but they're still much faster than mediums on Polti's car. 6 tenths less than that already for Fracas. He is going to be looking at the back of that Dodge Viper and thinking, this is my position. I'm going to be taking that. Any corner now. Goes very deep on the brakes to the outside. Probably not the best decision because it is quite dirty there. Still is very close. Half a second behind. He is going to have a massive advantage through the infield. Not only in the tires, but also in the car itself. The Ferrari is very nimble. Very good in the turning phase. With that engine situated at the rear, well, in the middle of the car. Less than half a second now between them. Polti still remains in P5, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be his for long, although Polti should have the straight line speed to potentially try and defend that position. It's not going to be easy, but he will hopefully have something to defend with. Pyro is still going strong. Lap number 16 on the worn hard tires. Fracas very good on the exit onto the oval. 3 tenths behind, 2.5 tenths behind. He is gaining. Is he gonna try and make a move before or into the bus stop chicane? That is very risky, but he does have the tire advantage. He does have the speed advantage with the slipstream. Pulls out to the outside. Polti defends the inside. He doesn't want to give that position up that easily, but I don't think he has any choice in that debate. Fracas moves up into P5, but he is now going to be vulnerable to Polti because of the massive slipstream advantage. So we'll see if he's going to have to defend into turn 1. Stays a little bit high to start the last banking corner to potentially not let Polti into the slipstream. And actually Polti doesn't look like he has a lot of momentum going against Fracas, so Fracas up into P5. Nice and easy for now. He's probably going to try and extend that gap as much as he can before the next round of pit stops. Meanwhile, ST is still going on medium tires. Lap number 17, very wide into turn 1. That's not going to do those tires any good, but still in P4, going strong. Probably going to be looking at a pit stop in the next few laps because these tires are pretty much dead at this point. He's being approached by Fracas at the speed of light, which is probably not going to be even a big fight. We'll see if ST is going to just let them through, or he's going to try and slow them down as much as possible, although I don't think he's going to have anything to fight with. He's barely making that left-hander before the second hairpin. Much earlier on the brakes than the Ferrari. It's going to be much slower on the exit as well. This is probably going to be another easy, quick overtake. for Fracas. Onto the banking we go. 2.5 tenths behind ST is the bright red Ferrari of Fracas. Is ST going to defend? He offered the inside line to Fracas. Fracas didn't seem to take it immediately. Fracas wants to play it safe. Doesn't want to leave anything up to chance. Stays behind ST for the bust-up chicane. Polti is still right there, but he doesn't have the tires, doesn't have the speed in that Dodge Viper to fight with Fracas again. Meanwhile, Auto into the pits from the medium tires. Let's see if Wagjams goes into the pits as well. He does not. He stays out. Ryan is most likely going to go into the pits here. Yes, he does. From the medium tires. SD stays out. Loses the position to Fracas. Is he going to lose the position to Polti as well? No, he slots right behind Fracas. Maybe he's going to give up the inside to Polti here. He is. Those tires have nothing to offer in terms of fighting chance. Polti briefly up to P3. Not the best of exits. Back behind SD. Not ideal for Polti. Not ideal. Goes to the inside immediately. And ST is probably going to give up that position. There's no big reason to fight this hard. Oh, he's on the grass, sliding on the exit, but keeps it on the track. Fracas up into P2, which is going to be provisional P1, Polti P3, provisional P2. Wagjams is, I'm pretty sure... No, he's not the only car that's yet to pit, but he is the highest positioned car that is yet to pit. Running on the hard tires. There's no sign of them wearing out anytime soon. Still quite consistent laps, quite fast for hard tires. Fracas is 6 seconds behind Wagjam. Juafin is sort of looking at potentially defending from Pyro. Pyro is quite occupied by Moose King right behind him, right in his rear view mirror, saying hello. Both are yet to stop, both on basically non-existent hard tires. Moose King, is he going to work with Pyro? Is he going to go for a move here? He decides to work with Pyro. Bump drafts him into the bust-up chicane. Hopefully he doesn't throw Pyro off too much. No, it doesn't, because he's just the GOAT. Great exit out of the bust-up chicane. Actually, not as great of an exit as Juofin had, but Juofin is probably going to be coming into the pits on this lap. This right rear medium tire is gone. It has left us. Este, meanwhile, into the pits after losing a whole bunch of time fighting with Polti and Fracas. Juofin is staying out, actually, interesting enough. Pyro 6 tenths behind, and Moose King unfortunately picked up a penalty by the looks of it, going through the chicane. Auto out of the pits, in which is going to be P7 provisionally. There are a few cars yet to make a pit stop. Canada, meanwhile, we haven't seen much of him, but a very solid P8 for now, which is going to be probably... It is probably going to be P8, because it's unlikely that he's going to jump Wagjams, I think. On medium tires, going strong. Personal best on the previous lap, number 18. Pyro and Juofin are fighting it out. The battle of mid with this tire wear at the moment. Very slow laps. Pyro already losing 8 tenths in the first sector alone. Goes to the outside on Juofin. Even though he is on hard tires, they are in a little bit of a better condition than Juofin's medium tires. Goes around the outside. He's just goated like this. Takes that P4 away from Juofin, but he is going to be on a little bit of a back foot through the whole of the back straight right now. Well, the back and the main straight before and after the bust-up chicane. But does Juofin have the beans in that Lexus to potentially attack Pyro once again? And does he want to? Because his tires are also gone, just like Pyro's. They might be looking at a pit stop on this lap, so it might be wiser to just work together. Polti is dropping back from Fracas as expected. Fracas is gaining massively on Wagjams, but that is also expected. Wagjams is still circulating around on them hard tires. He's not going to keep that P1, unfortunately. We're going to see where he fits in after his pit stop, which is probably going to be around P8, I want to say, P7. Right around Canada. They were glued together for the whole first stint of this race. Pyro is maybe going to look at a pit stop here, but he might stay out another lap to do 20 laps on the set of tires. He does stay out. Juafin stays out as well. Interesting. Moose King stays out. Auto on brand new hard tires that are not much faster than having cheese on your wheels is currently in P7, looking to take those positions away, if not in the pit stops, on track. Hopefully for him it's not going to be too big of an issue. Tertiary, meanwhile, a little bit... Actually, I was just about to say a little bit out of sync, but he did gain on Ryan. He did gain on O'Leary. I unfortunately do not know how that happened. I missed that completely, but he did find his way past Ryan and O'Leary. Tertiary might be a little bit of a dark horse in this race. He's doing very well. He's on medium tires right now. He was on hard tires to start the race. So he's gotten those tires out of the way. He doesn't have to drive on them ever again. After he completes this medium tires, then he will be able to go into softs and just run them until the end of the race. Ryan is only 7/10 ahead of O'Leary, but O'Leary is on soft tires. They are quite worn at this point, but they're still soft tires. We all know how soft tires perform on Gran Turismo. The question is, does Porsche have the beans to compete with the McLaren? I know, well, not McLaren, I apologize, with the Honda. I know Honda is one of the faster Group 4 cars, at least around this track, in the testing that we've conducted. Cracker all the way down on P13 after that early P4, then P5, and then a pit stop. Not sure what happened here, still running around on hard tires. Those are dead tires. Wang Jams goes into the pits. Crackers takes over that actual lead of the race ahead of Pulte. The question is Pyro going to hit this lap? I would assume yes. He pulls off to the left together with Juafin. They both come into the pits. Moose King stays out, so he's going to assume the third position in this race. And Auto moves up to P4. We actually have quite a lot of cars in the pits. Wang Jams from hard tire, Juafin from medium tires, Pyro from hard tires, and Canada from medium tires. So Ryan is going to take that P7 back, potentially. Wang Jams is fueling up. He will come out of the pits soon, but I think Ryan is going to get there earlier, a little bit deep into turn 1. Still a decent enough exit. Yeah, Wang Jams refuels the car to its maximum capacity, almost at 90%. He's going to be coming out of the pits. There he is, in P8. Ryan takes over P6 with O'Leary behind him, not actually being able to make any inroads. Sitting in P7 at the moment, 8/10, almost in the slipstream range of Ryan. He does want to get there to potentially propel himself forward, save a little bit of fuel potentially. Auto up to P3, very solid race from him so far, but he is on hard tires at the moment. He did overtake Moose King. Moose King is on very dead hard tires. He is yet to stop. This man is on a nice Saturday stroll right here, just relaxing, taking his hard tires all the way to lap 21, still going strong. 30 meanwhile in P5, 6 seconds behind Moose King. He is gonna take that position away once Moose King comes into the pits, which is probably going to be this or next lap. Yeah, O'Leary doesn't seem to have any pace at the moment to challenge Ryan. He does need to find a little bit more pace, at least, to try and stay with him, stay in the slipstream, although he just lost 3/10 in the bus stop chicane, although he is on faster tyre. Not sure what's going on there. Potentially just driver pace difference. Bike jumps down to P8 as I expected. ST in P9 on them brand new hard tires from mediums to hards. Juafin in P10 on also a fresh set of hard tires. Cracker on a very worn set of hard tires. And Pyro on them fresh mediums. This man is going to be on the charge. Wait about 35 seconds and he's going to be past all of these cars in a second. Sama in P13 on a little bit of a recovery drive, doing well in P13. Canada down in P14 after he's just made a pit stop onto soft tires. He is probably going to run those soft tires all the way until the end. We do have 49 laps left in this race. And Claus at the back of the grid. That is just... That is just sad. I'm gonna be honest with you, but he is going strong. 1 minute and 26 seconds behind the leader. Yeah, serving a penalty, which is not gonna help. But this is how the endurance racing goes. The top two are running pretty strong. The advantage that Fracas has is that he's run hard tires at this point already, so he's only going to run mediums and softs from now on. Polti, however, is yet to run hard tires, so at this point Fracas is looking like a clear favorite to win this first stint, to finish first in this first stint, only on tires at the very least. Auto is running around on hard tires. He is probably going to do only 10 laps on them, and then going to switch over to soft tires and run them until the end. Here we have a little bit of a fight between Esti and Joafin. Joafin trying to get close to Esti first, to potentially look at it, taking that P8 away from him. Not close enough yet, but he is gaining less than 5/10 already. It might not be enough to clear Esti into turn 1, but it might be enough to go side by side into turn 1. We've seen that it's not very effective if you do not get the inside line, but is Joafin close enough? He is not, so unless Esti makes a mistake, this position is going to remain his. Oh, beautiful on the brakes. Out of turn 1. And meanwhile, we have a little bit of a break in all the action. I want to remind you why we are doing all this. We are racing tonight to collect donations for the Mind charity organization, which are providing various ways of helping people with various mental health issues. If you want to, and if you can, support the cause, any sort of donation is greatly appreciated, but the money isn't the only way you can help. The most important help you can offer, especially to those people around you, is be there for them in case you see them struggling with any sort of issue. If you do not know how, there are great videos on the Mind organization YouTube channel explaining everything in great detail, how to help others, and most importantly, how to help yourself. So if this is something that you need, you are potentially interested in, definitely look into it. But most importantly, remember that you are never alone. Fracas, meanwhile, actually quite an early pit stop. He was potentially low on fuel, but I don't think 8% of fuel is too little to go around another time. But you know, they've got the strategy figured out. They know what they're doing. Into the pits he goes from soft tires. Polti takes over the lead of the race. Auto takes over the P2. Fracas with a little bit of refueling here. Ryan back up into P3. The question is, when is Fracas going to come out of the pits? I'm actually a little bit surprised by this early pit stop. I thought he would go a little bit longer than that. He goes out on medium tires with 83% of fuel left in the car. Wagjam's right ahead of him. In P5 on also fresh medium tires, so somehow I'm guessing it was a matter of refueling. Wagjam's jumped Fracas? We're gonna have to wait and see until the end of the race to see how these strategies play out, but it looks like I might be wrong, I might be completely wrong, but Wagjam's looks to be ahead of Fracas on merit, on pace, on strategy. Might be wrong though, but it looks like it is the case. Right in P3, in a little bit of a land of his own. 8.5 seconds behind P2, 4.5 seconds ahead of P4. Esti is still holding on to that P7 from Joafin. Currently in P8, Pyro in P9. A little bit alone at this point, but trying to potentially catch Joafin, who is on hard tires. Pyro should have no issues doing that. He seems to be faster on hard tires than he is on medium tires. Samer in P10. Moose King in P11. Kanata in P12. 30 in P13. Cracker P14. And I believe we just lost Claus. from P1 on the grid to P in the lobby. Barely. That is very unfortunate. I am not sure how it's going to play out for the second stint, but unfortunately we have lost one car. Hopefully we do not lose any more cars. But Polti is currently enjoying a massive 25 seconds lead over Auto in P2, driving that Lamborghini Huracan in an almost stealth livery. What is the closest fight we have on the track at the moment? Oh, speaking of, Juafin up the inside. Oh, there's a wall there, careful. Up the inside of Esti. Esti with a beautiful braking and turning performance into turn 1. Around the outside, stays in P7. Oh, a little bit on the grass. That is not the best thing you can do going to the first hairpin. He does have the inside though. Is he going to have enough momentum on the exit though? He seems to have, although Juafin is holding on there, he will have the inside for the left kink, but it will be the outside for the hairpin. So maybe he can clear SD coming into the hairpin, and he can. Yes, he takes over P7. For now, we do have a massive straight divided by a chicane coming up. But for now, Juafin is in P7. A little bit of a slide on the exit. Esti's looking to the outside into the left-hander coming out onto the banking. Esti, again, very confident on the brakes. Goes a lot deeper, but still stays on the track. Beautiful acceleration out of the corner. Looking to have enough of a momentum to go past Juafin. He did have to go on a longer line on the exit of that corner. But he is right behind Juafin, right under his rear wing. Meanwhile, Pyro is catching up. He was 3.6 seconds behind. He is now 1 second behind. He is looking at this fight and thinking, this is what I want. This is where I have to be. Most importantly, I have to be ahead of them. Esti looks to the outside going into the bus stop chicane. Nothing's happening there. There's not really an overtaking opportunity if you are on the outside. Does have a good run out of the chicane though on Juafin, only 2.5 tenths behind. He will have the slipstream, he will have the momentum. The question is, will he have enough bravery into turn 1 to try and go around the outside? I'm assuming Juafin is going to defend the inside for his life here. Stays over to the left. This is the racing line for now. Is SD going to try and force his way to the inside? Pushes Juafin for now. Looks to the outside line. It's the only reason the pits from soft tires. SD a lot braver on the brakes. Look at this man go clear around the outside. Oh my, this is a little bit of an embarrassment to Juafin, I'm not gonna lie. Getting completely done around the outside into turn 1 like this takes some special talent. Pyro immediately looks to punish Juafin even more by going up the inside into the first hairpin of the infield. He doesn't seem to have that good of an exit though. He's probably going to have to slow down behind it for now, but he certainly has the tire advantage. He certainly does have the momentum advantage at the moment. Esti's not really pulling away, even though Juafin is having to defend from Pyro. They're all still running together. But Pyro is going to be a lot faster on the exit of all these corners with that all-wheel drive medium tire superiority. Right behind Juafin at the moment. Good exit. Gets enough momentum to keep getting through the exit of the corner now into the slipstream. The difference in their speed is not going to be that massive because Juafin does have the slipstream ahead of him. And actually, Pyro is losing time to Juafin, so unless he's saving fuel, the GTR just does not have the beans. By the looks of it, Juafin is looking at attacking Esti once again. Looks to the inside into the chicane. This is dangerous. This is going to end in tears for somebody here. But they actually navigated pretty well. Well done, everyone. Good job. But Pyro, with all the momentum in the world, on the outside line, though, is Esti going to give him the slipstream? He does. He is giving Pyro the slipstream. But Pyro moves down to the low line to push Juafin. Is he going to bomb draft him? Yes, he is. He is pushing Juafin past Esti. So Esti is going to be left out to dry here on the outside line with no slipstream. Slots back into P8. Loses 2 positions in one straight and a bit. Pyro's looking to the outside. Oh, this man is feeling brave. This man is feeling fast. Oh, and he's done it. And he's done it. Another around the outside overtake on Juafin. Oh, man. This man is, yeah, getting handled by his opponent. Pyro up to P6 with a golden overtake into turn 1, but it's not over between Juofin and Esti. These two are still going at it. Them losing that position to Pyro isn't that big of a deal because they are on hard tires. So both Juofin and Esti are still on hard tires. Pyro is on medium tires that are wearing out very fast. Juofin is ahead of Esti. Coming onto the banking from the infield. They're very close. 4 tenths, 3 tenths now between Juofin and Esti. Esti might be a little bit too close at this point. You don't want to be too close to the car ahead, otherwise you're not going to get that substantial of a slingshot past them from the slipstream. But he might still look into an opportunity into the burst stop chicane. It would be very dangerous, but they did survive it before. Maybe they can survive it again. Oh, very late on the brakes for Esti. Is it too late? No, it's not. Makes a move on Juofin, a little bit wide on the exit. Oh, they're side by side onto the final banking corner. But Esti is going to have a very distant slipstream from Pyro, and he's going to have the inside line, the shorter line. But the Lexus might have a sufficient amount of beans, although it doesn't look like it, but they are still going to be side by side into turn 1, I feel like. This is one of the bigger fights we've seen this race. Esti still on the outside. We do know that he is much more committed on the brakes than Juofin. Potentially Aston Martin helping him out quite a bit here. And again, just clears Esti into turn 1 on the brakes and easily up to P7. All is very quiet up the front. Polti is still in P1. We're going to have to wait and see how these strategies play out because Fracas did make a pit stop. But Polti is currently leading by 28, more than 28 seconds over Auto, who's running on hard tires. Probably going to be pitting from them around now, maybe this lap, maybe next lap. Ryan in P3 on half-worn medium tires, going strong, and Fracas on fresh medium tires. In P4 currently was leading the race previously, did make a pit stop after that. We'll see where he filters out after everyone's done their pit stop. He is supposed to have the strategical tyre advantage over Polti towards the end of the race. But the thing is, we are most likely going to be moving into the evening, maybe potentially nighttime, closer towards the end of the race. So this will be a lot more challenging for these drivers. Backjumps is currently in a very strong P5. Actually losing position to Fracas quite a long time ago, but it looks a bit 6 seconds between them, between P4 and P5. Oh, Juofin and Esti are still going at it. Esti is once again going to have the inside line for the final corner. Well, it's technically a straight, but you do have to identify it in some way. So we're probably going to have a similar situation as on the previous lap. However, Juofin does have an opportunity to slot back behind Esti. That would probably be a better decision rather than trying to go around the outside when you know your car isn't as good on the brakes as Esti's. Try and drop back a little bit, drop back into the slipstream and try and get the slingshot pass into turn 1. Oh, Pyro very deep into turn 1. But he will have a slightly better exit than Esti. Actually, not the case. Esti is back challenging Pyro for that P6. Not what Pyro needs to be doing. He needs to be running away from these guys. They are on hard tires. Oh, actually gives up the inside a little bit to Esti. Esti is not going to take it. Those hard tires do not provide that good of an acceleration compared to mediums. However, Juofin seems to have made a little bit of a mistake, dropping 6 tenths behind Esti. But Esti is looking at potentially taking that P6 away from Pyro. That would be huge if possible. Oh, they're going on that line, on that part of the track is not the way. It is very dirty there. Big slide on the exit. Loses all the momentum. Almost 7 tenths behind Pyro now. Almost out of the slipstream range. And that Lexus is not slow in a straight line by any means. So he doesn't want to be vulnerable to Juofin once again. But that's exactly what's going to happen. Lost the slipstream from Pyro. Lost all the momentum. And Juofin is right back with him. Less than 2.5 tenths between them. These two have been going at it for the past 5 laps, I want to say. It's really compromising their pace. But it is providing awesome action for us. That is a great camera angle. Esti on the inside, Juofin on the outside. Ooh, Juofin outbraked himself completely. Esti goes through cleanly through the chicane, but Juofin lost time, lost momentum, and is probably going to get a prison sentence from Gran Turismo for cutting over the grass there. And no, he's fine. Gran Turismo was very generous to him there. Sama is up into P9 actually after a very shaky start to this race, moving up in the world a little bit, well, at least in this race. Moose King right behind him, 3/10 behind the Jaguar. On medium tyres, both of them on medium tyres actually. Going to turn 1, Moose King is not going to be close enough to make a move here. But he is right on that rear bumper, and Juven actually lost a lot of momentum. He's only 7.5 tenths ahead of Sama. It's probably not his fight, but he is on hard tires. They're quite fresh, but they're still hard tires. Sama behind is on 1 mediums, but they're still mediums, and we know the tire difference is quite big. But it finally gives ST a bit of a break, and Pyro a bit of a break if he doesn't make any more mistakes. Auto has just lost a position to Ryan. I apologize for not seeing that. Ryan up into 2nd place, although there is a noticeable tire difference between them, and fuel difference actually. Ryan is on much lighter fuel load and on medium tires, while Auto is on half a tank and hard tires. So I'm assuming we're going to see a pit stop from Auto very soon. And meanwhile, we can take this opportunity and thank all of you guys. We are over 90% on our donation goal, 906 pounds currently. Thank you all very much for donating, greatly appreciate it. But this race is far from over. We're not even halfway through the first stint, and we have 2 of them, and the second stint is going to be even, well, slightly longer than this one. Auto is probably happy with being in P3 at the moment. Ryan is not really his fight, because Auto is looking at well, I think he was on mediums at the start of the race. He is on hards now, so he's going to get rid of all these tires, and then he's going to be able to drive on soft until the end. Track is actually catching them on fresh medium tires, 4.5 seconds less than that actually, behind Auto. Juafin into the pits. That releases Moose King and Sama. Sama actually lost the position to Moose King. Moose King up into P8. Sama back down to P9. Tertri, I actually do not know what's happening with Tertri. I assume that he was a little bit of a dark horse in this race. He was in a very strong position early on. I'm assuming he's just a little bit behind on pit stops compared to everybody else. So he's done maybe more pit stops than others, because I don't see him being 1 minute and 11 seconds off the lead on pure pace, and he is on soft tires now. So he should, I assume, come back into the picture later on in this race. O'Leary as well, quite surprised to see him down on P12, but he did make a pit stop at the end of lap 25 on the hard tires, to the hard tires. And Polti is actually coming into the pits at the end of lap 31, getting rid of those basically not existent at this point medium tires. Ryan is going to move up into P1. Actually, he was gaining quite a bit of time on Polti. The gap was more than 28 seconds. And before the pit stop, it was down to 25 seconds. So Ryan clearly had the pace there. But Polti did come into the pits. We are getting slightly overcast conditions at this point, but unfortunately it is not possible to rain around here. As we all know, it is scientifically proven that it doesn't rain in Florida, ever. So this game is highly realistic. So we're not going to see any rain tonight, unfortunately. So, but we are slowly moving towards the darker time of the day, which is going to make it tricky for drivers. Ryan is a little bit deep into the corner. You don't want to dip the wheels on that dirty part of the track, especially when your tires are that worn. They're not at their death moment yet, but they're definitely not in the best of conditions. He is still going strong, as are all other drivers apart from one. Polti is out in P5. some 15, 16 seconds behind Fracas. He is on hard tires now, which is going to be a massive difference once Fracas makes his pit stop. Almost full tank, but he is probably still only going to spend 10 laps on these tires. Pyro is still strong on P6, pulling away from ST, 2.3 seconds back from him, 4.2 seconds between ST and Moose King, and another 2 seconds back to Sama, 5.5 seconds back to Territory, but this is going to be interesting on strategy because I don't see him being that far down the grid on pure pace. O'Leary in P11, Kanata in P12. Yeah, this is not an easy race for some of these cars. Duofit in P13 and Kraka in P14 on fresh soft tires. He's just made a pit stop. He dropped back to the last position, and I think he is actually not far away from being lapped. Yeah, Ryan is only, I want to say, like 10 seconds behind Cracker on track, so we are going to get into some lapping situations very soon, unless Ryan makes a pit stop before that. They're all actually quite close. Frack is only 2.3 seconds behind Otto, and he is on the better tire of all these three. Fresher mediums, lighter car. Otto is on even more worn hards, but he is probably going to get rid of them quite soon. Actually, I was saying that for the past couple of laps, but he's still going on them, so he might be going on these hards until the fuel runs out. I'm not sure if it's the best of decisions, but we're going to have to wait and see. Actually keeping pace with Ryan a little bit. Ryan's tires are going off, so he's probably losing pace, and he's actually quite low on fuel, so either this lap or the next lap he's going to come to the pits, at least to refuel. Otto is still very strong in that P2. But the Fracas is closing in. Less than 2 seconds behind now. Oh, beautiful shot with the plane taken off there. Oh, Fracas is closing in fast. It looks like Ferrari might have a little bit of a straight line speed advantage over the Huracan. 1.5 seconds either way for Otto. Ahead and behind. A little bit deep into turn one, locking up the outside front tire. Not ideal. Lost quite a bit of, actually didn't lose any time to Ryan, but did lose more than half a second to Fracas, and I think it's not even going to be a fight between them. Otto might try and slow Fracas down as much as he can, but that pace and tire difference is just too big, I think, to keep Fracas behind for long. Pyro, meanwhile, goes into the pits from P7. Most likely going to switch to soft tires from now on. He's run hards, he's run mediums. Probably going to go on softs now. But Otto is under immediate threat from behind. Fracas is looking at taking that P2 away. He will have the tire advantage after this pit stop on Pulte, because Pulte is on hard tires, I'm pretty sure. Let me check real quick. Yeah, Pulte is on hard tires, Frack is on medium tires, and he's only got softs to run. So after he makes the pit stop onto soft tires, he will have a massive advantage on Pulte, but he is going to be behind on track. Goes to the inside on Otto, into the bust-up chicane. Otto's probably going to give it up. There's no reason to fight it on hard tires. It's better to sit behind, maybe bomb draft a little bit, save a little bit of fuel. Carry that momentum to try and catch back up with Ryan, although they are on different strategies, but still, the less time you lose to anyone, the shorter your total race time is, the better. Easy overtake there for practice. Ryan is most likely going to be coming into the pits at the end of this lap. The medium tires are dead. The fuel tank is almost empty. He has had a very strong race thus far. Oh, that's a big slide on the exit. Not ideal. But still, very strong stint. Taking over that P1, even though, you know, provisionally it's not P1. Spent quite a lot of time in the lead of the race. only losing a little bit of time to Fracas, although still losing time, just courtesy of tyres being almost completely dead. Wagjams is still going very strong in that P4. No idea where he came from. Was in a little bit of a mid-pack fight there with Canada for P6 or P7 early on in the race, but then somehow emerged in P4, P5 on actual pace. Pulte running in P5 on them hard tyres. Don't know how long he's going to spend on them. Well, actually, I do know. He stopped at the end of lap 31. So he will pit on lap 42 at the earliest to get rid of them hard tyres, because he hasn't done a stint on them yet. So he will have to spend 10 laps on them. So it's going to be a very long and painful stint. Fracas, though, might be getting rid of the medium tyres very soon. He's almost spent, I think, either this lap or the next lap is going to be 10 laps on these tyres. So he will be able to switch over to soft tyres and run them until, or run the soft compounds of tyre until the end of the race. Not necessarily one compound, although he might. The Ferrari is very good on tyre wear, but I don't think that it's that good. 8/10 from Ryan. Ryan is going to be coming into the pits, and I think it is going to be a better decision for Fracas to stay out and try to overcut him, because having to overtake cars on the track is never the fastest option. Ryan comes into the pits, gives up the lead. Fracas moves into the lead of the race. 35 laps in, starting lap 36. Also still running in P2. Wagjams assuming P3, the last podium step. Pulte, now this is interesting. Pulte is most likely going to jump Ryan. That means that he's also most likely going to jump Fracas once Fracas makes his pit stop. The question is, how big is the gap going to be between them? Because I do expect the fight for the lead in the first stint to be between Pulte and Fracas. The question is how it's going to play out on the strategy, because Pulte is still out on the hard tyres and he's going to be on them for quite a while. ST running in P5 at the moment, losing a lot of time to Pulte, but that's expected. These tyres are a lot more worn than the ones on the Dodge Viper, although the laps are pretty strong for ST. Moose King into P6 after Ryan's pit stop, who came out in P8, 3 seconds behind 30 on hard tyres, interestingly enough. Did not know that Ryan is yet to run hard tyres, unless it is a strategical choice, which I highly doubt it is, because I don't think anyone wants to drive on hard tyres. And O'Leary in P9, 6/10 ahead of Canada. Canada is on fresh-ish medium tyres, stopped 5 or 6 laps ago, trying to make the best out of this rather slow-ish car compared to others. Pyro in P11 at the moment on new medium tyres. I don't know why. Maybe he's looking at making less pit stops but running slower laps. He has already run hard, he has already run mediums, and he is on mediums again. Juafin in P12, Sama in P13, and Cracker in P14. Moose King is into the pits while Ryan is looking at overtaking territory. Although Ryan is on hard tyres, they are much fresher than 30's soft tyres. Is there going to be a move happening into turn 1? Ryan looks to the outside, but it's not going to happen on the brakes on these hard tyres. They just don't have enough. Oh, never mind, as I was saying that. Very deep for 30, gives up that position very easily. No fight for Ryan whatsoever, but now it's going to be a little bit awkward because 30 is on soft tyres. They are very worn, especially the right rear, but they're still technically, I think, faster than hards. The question is, does he want to fight it too much? Because he's probably going to be pitting very soon. He's not going to take these tyres much longer, so it's probably in his interest to try and stay behind Ryan, maybe bump draft a little bit on the straights, and try and maximize, well, rather minimize his total race time this way. gains quite a bit of time through the middle of the corner because of the superior traction of soft tires, but on the straights, I think Honda is going to be a little bit faster than that, but even though, I don't think it's wise for Turti to try and fight with Ryan and lose them both time, when he's probably going to be pitting quite soon. That's a very good exit out of the left-hander onto the banking. Is he going to look for a move, or is he going to bump draft? He is sitting behind for now. Yep, he is bump drafting. He's now going to force a move here. Decides to work together. Post is still running in P4, and actually, he's not losing a lot of time to Fracas. Last lap 56.0. Fracas's last lap was 55.7. It is faster but only by 0.3. So the pace difference isn't massive between them, even though there is a tire compound difference between them. Also, we're still running around on the hard tires. It looks like a lot of people are prioritizing making less pit stops because they do take quite a lot of time over trying to go fast. Maybe I need to revise my strategy for the upcoming race. We'll see about that. Or for the upcoming stint too, when I'm going to be driving. But I think also could have gotten off of these tires a long time ago, but he is still running on them. So it looks like the majority of drivers, actually all of them, prioritizing making less pit stops rather than spamming soft tire stints. For example, we did see Paro go into medium tires again after the first medium tire stint. So he is currently up into P9, just under 2 seconds behind Kanata. Found his way past O'Leary, I think. I think he was behind O'Leary previously, or maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, currently looking at potentially gaining that position of Kanata. Actually finds a lot of time through the second hairpin. They are on the same compound of tire, but Paro's tires are a lot newer, a lot fresher than Kanata's. Musking is on the back of Duofin Cracker into the pits. And this is probably an example of trying to spam the fastest tire but stopping a lot more often. Doesn't seem to be working. Moves to medium tires, actually gets lapped in the process. I think it was lap D4. But it looks like the strategy of maximizing each tire, even though it is a slower tire, is still the better decision by the looks of it. At least we're going to see how it plays out towards the end of the race. We are into the second half of the first stint. We've got just over 30 laps left. 31 to be exact. 31 and a half. Fracas is still leading the way on medium tires, and yeah, I think he could have stopped already from the medium tires, but I think people are looking at running each tire as much as they can, as long as they can, rather than making a lot of pit stops and running on soft tires, which is a nice dynamic. Normally it's the other way around. Normally Gran Turismo is a lot more forgiving on the tire drop-off of soft tires. Oh, that is a bit wide. That might be a penalty. Wouldn't be ideal for Fracas. He's still... He will have to fight to get back to Polti, and there it is. There's 1 second penalty. He's going to slow him down quite a bit. He's going to lose... He's already lost time to Otto. He's going to lose a lot more, but Otto is not really his main competitor here. It is Polti, who's lost about 7/10 since we last time checked on them. Lost 7/10 to the leader, but he is already gained another second, and he's going to gain even more after Fracas serves his penalty. So even though Fracas does have a tire advantage, the strategical tire advantage of using the hard tires and the medium tires earlier, I don't think he's really going to utilize that advantage because he's still running on mediums. If he stopped earlier and switched over to softs, he would have been able to catch Polti at great speed, but they're still running on their own. Polti actually gained 2 seconds from Fracas serving that penalty. 3.2 seconds now is the gap to Otto, but as I said, Otto is not really the main competitor for Fracas. It is Polti. This is the driver that he needs to be looking at. Wag Jams in P3. Very, very solid stint. Still running on the medium tires. They are getting worn, especially the right rear. That banking is unforgiving, and all of those long left-hand corners. 30 into the pits from P7 from soft tires. So that's going to move Ryan up into P6 on hard tires. Is Canada going to jump 30 as well? Most likely the answer is yes. Pyro is actually very close to Canada a couple of laps ago. The gap was 2 seconds. Now it's only half a second. Pyro does have a slight time advantage, although they're basically identical. Canada does have less fuel. It does mean a lighter car, but he will have to stop earlier. He does have quite a few laps still in the tank. Oh, going wide like this is not going to help your momentum out of the corner. Loses a little bit of time to Pyro, but I don't think... we've seen Pyro make some great moves in this race, so it's probably only a matter of time before Canada loses this position to Pyro. Very strong race from both of them. Canada actually started in P7, currently running at P7. Don't know where he's going to finish, where anyone is going to finish, but still very solid position. Going onto the back straight, Wag Jams finally comes into the pits from P3. Most likely going to switch over to soft tires and try and take them 15 plus 15 laps. We're going to see about that. Pyro's a little bit too far back at this point. He did lose a couple of tenths through the infield, unfortunately for him. Looking at maximizing the bus-stop chicane to try and get as close as he can to Canada to potentially make, well, at least look at making a move into turn 1. It has not proven easy so far, but it is one of the few overtaking opportunities around here. Surprisingly, you'd think it's a lot easier to overtake around here, but it is not the case. 4 turns between them. Wag Jams is only now refueling the car, so you do lose a lot of time in the pit lane here. Wag Jams onto soft tires and 72% of fuel. Meanwhile, Pyro is looking at an overtake, goes to the outside line. This is not the preferred line. Actually stays back for now. Is a lot braver on the brakes. Actually runs into the back of Canada. I think there was a slight touch there, but they both remain on the track. Nobody loses too much time. Canada keeps that P7 for now. Pyro actually lost a little bit of time, probably having to brake harder or try and avoid that contact with Canada. Meanwhile, O'Leary is defending from Moose King. Moose King is on fresh-ish soft tires. O'Leary is on worn hard tires. So the tire disparity is massive there. Is Moose King going to be able to make a move here? Goes to the outside for the left kink. But he should have the inside line. Oh yeah, O'Leary just doesn't fight it. There was no particular reason for him to do so, because the tire difference is too big. Meanwhile, Fracas into the pits. Now, the question is where he's going to come out and what tires he's going to be on. Polty is going to be coming past the pit lane here, clearly overtaking Fracas. The question is how far ahead is he going to be after Fracas' pit stop, and how much more time is he going to spend on hard tires? Takes over the P2. Fracas is in the pit box right now, changing tires. Assuming some fuel is going to go into the car. SD is probably not going to jump Fracas. Still refueling, 50%. 65. SD goes past the start, finish, straight into turn 1. Fracas is driving out now. He's out of the pit lane on medium tires again, so he's yet to run soft. So looks like he is really committed to the strategy of making longer stints on slower tires, but minimizing the amount of times he has to pit. That is probably a very wise decision. But he is 19.5 seconds behind Polty. However, he is on faster and fresher tires, so he will be catching. The question is how fast, and the question is how many pit stops each of them has yet to make. That is something to look out for. Auto is sort of still in this fight. He's probably going to be stopping either this or next lap. He is low on fuel. His tires are very worn. The front right tire is almost gone. He's spent a long time on these tires. But he is currently in P1. This is not going to be P1 after all the pit stops play out. Esty is up into P4. Very strong stint from him, but this is only, you know, a P4 for now. Not gonna stay, I'm pretty sure. Wagjams is actually being challenged by Ryan after making his pit stop. But I'm pretty sure he's just overtaken Ryan, maybe. But anyway, Ryan is behind on hard tires. Frack is on the fresh soft, so I think for Ryan it's more of a case to try and stay with the Wagjams as much as he can. Try and work together, use his pace, use his speed to try and propel himself forward. Loses quite a bit of time through the chicane, but that's expected on hard tires. Actually drops out of the slipstream, so not ideal for Ryan. But Wagjams up into P5 in the Alfa Romeo 4C. Canada is still under pressure from Pyro, but Pyro is not really in a position to make a move here. Loses quite a bit of time through the chicane, actually a lot of time. Almost going to be outside of the slipstream range, and he is now. He will get a little bit, a slight wash of slipstream from that far back, but again, not ideal. Canada is going to be coming into the pits either this lap or next lap. Actually pulls off to the left now and comes into the pits. Pyro is going to take that position for free without having to fight for it, really. Moose King moves up into P8 as well. Actually, personal best lap on that previous lap, 54.931. Wagjams is setting a personal best first sector. Yeah, pulling away from Ryan. It was a very optimistic attempt from Ryan to try and stay with a fresh soft tire. Probably not going to happen any day of the week. But still a very strong stint for him. Wonder how much time he's going to spend on these tires. Stopped it at the end of lap 35. So he's been almost 10 laps on these tires. 30 is down in P12. I did not expect to see him here. Auto comes into the pits from P1, and those hard tires. Polty is most definitely going to jump him and assume the actual lead of the race after giving it up like 15-20 laps ago. It may be a little bit less than that, but still, back into the lead of the race goes Polty. Fracas should also be able to jump Auto. He's actually gained quite a bit of time on Polty. After the pit stop was 19.3 seconds, now it's 17.1. Less than 17 seconds. Also in the pit box, refueling, so probably changed the tires already. Fracas continues to gain time on Polty. Wagjams through turn 1. Is he going to be able to jump Auto as well? This is going to be very close. Auto comes out of the pits now, and he's successfully ahead of Wagjams, so it's not as close as I thought it would be, but important to mention, Auto is on medium tires. He might be able to go until the end of the race, but looking at fuel, probably not. So he's probably going to make another pit stop for soft tires, most likely. Wagjams is on soft tires, 2 seconds behind, so he might have the pace, setting personal best on the previous lap, 55.0. He might have the pace to try and catch Auto, overtake him, and try and pull away as much as he can for when this final pit stop plays out. It might be the case of them both having to stop one more time, but the question is, for what tires? Auto is pretty safe to go for softs on his final stint. Not sure about Wagjams. It depends on how long he can take these tires, but for now he will have the tire advantage. For now, he is already within a second, just about not close enough for the slipstream range, and Lamborghini is quite fast in the straight line as well. Fracas is still closing in on Polty, but not as fast as I expected him to. He's gained so far 4-5 turns on this lap, which is quite a bit, but he is still 16.5 behind, so it's a big gap to close in. Canada is out of the pits in P12 on medium tires. So he is probably going to make another pit stop after this one. Maybe. Maybe 2. Not sure. Joffin P13 and Cracker in P14 with the absolutely horrendous tire wear from Mazda 3. Oh, Wagjams is right on Auto here. 1/10, less than 2/10 separates them. I don't think... Actually, it is in the interest of Auto to fire as hard as it can, because I don't think they have any direct threat from behind. And it would be ideal to keep Wagjams behind until the end of this stint, but I don't think it's going to happen. Wagjams tries to look for the inside into the right hairpin, the second of the infield. Not close enough yet. The sun is slowly setting down towards the horizon. We are in the evening hours now. We're not far away from some nighttime driving. Auto is still in P3, although only half a second ahead of Wagjams, who's going to have the slipstream on this straight. And he is certainly going to have tyre advantage going into the bus stop chicane. This is where he needs to make up time to stay closer to Auto on the run up to the first corner. Four tenths, 3/10. Oh, that is a massive gain through the bus stop chicane. Probably actually a little bit too much. He's going to go to the outside. He does have the momentum, but the low line is that much shorter than the high line, so he's not going to have an opportunity to stay there. He's going to tug back in for another bite of the slipstream, try and get a slingshot on him. Also is going to defend the inside. Wagjams looks to the outside. He might just have enough braking performance in those soft tires to try and go around the outside, but I think it's too far back. He might try it, but actually slots back. Ooh, I was about to say he slots back in, but he's actually pulled out to the outside again. Almost went around the outside. Did not have the exit momentum there, but he might get the inside line here for the first hairpin. Looks to the inside, takes the inside line. Ooh, a little bit too deep into the corner, but also doesn't really... He can't really fight it, to be honest. Drops back to P4, and Wagjams improves his position up to P3. He will have to pull away from Auto quite a bit if he wants to have a chance of fighting Auto towards the end of the race. Auto is yet to run soft tires, so he will definitely be switching to soft tires at the end of this race for the final stint, I'm pretty sure. Wagjams, that's a good question. I'm pretty sure he's run all compounds so far, so he's good to go on any tire from now on, I think. But we'll see. He did stop earlier than Auto, so he's not going to be able to take these tires as long as Auto can. And especially getting that penalty is not going to help. He might actually drop back behind Auto to end this lap. Auto is still in the slipstream, so he is going to stay close behind. If he doesn't have any issues through the bus stop chicane, he should be able to stay close. And then regain that position after Wagjams serves his penalty. Half a second is not that much. You're not going to lose too much time, but Auto is very close, so it is probably going to mean a lost position for Wagjams. Actually, Auto seemed to have quite a bit of an issue through the first half of the chicane. Massive gains on Wagjams through the second half of the chicane, and Wagjams with another half-second penalty makes it a 1 second penalty. Now definitely going to lose this position. Definitely going to lose a lot of momentum. And all that hard work undone in 1 second. Auto moves back into P3 and opens up quite a big gap to Wagjams, so that is a massive help to Auto in this fight for P3. Fracas is still gaining strong on Polti. Polti is still running around on those hard tires. Last lap, 1.7 seconds slower than Fracas. 56.6 for Polti. 54.9 for Fracas on medium tires. Auto is now 2 seconds ahead of Wagjams. Ryan is still there, but he is on hard tires. He doesn't really have anything to fight with these guys unless they keep fighting more and more, keep getting those penalties. But for him, it's just a matter of minimizing the time loss here. Just putting as many consistent fast lap in as he can. Pyro into the pits, loses that position to Esti, who's actually fighting with Sama here over P7. Sama stays ahead. He had the inside line. With Esti on fresh medium tires, stopped a few laps ago. Sama has been running on these tires for quite a while now, so Esti is looking to try and use these fresher, faster tires to find his way past Sama. Oh, much better exit out of the first hairpin, sorry. he is going to have the inside for the second hairpin, so this is pretty much a done overtake unless Sammer feels aggressive, feels competitive, and wants to try and come back at him on the big straight. This is the only place where tires do not matter. It's all about the slipstream and the top end speed. But it looks like it's not going to be close enough, so ST back up into P7 after losing that position due to a pit stop. And Pyro actually back out of the pits right behind Canada. So these two meet again, both on medium tires. Canada's tires are slightly more worn. He stopped a few laps earlier, but once again ahead of Pyro. 1.1 seconds between them. We're going to see a little bit later if Pyro is able to close back in and potentially look at taking this position away. He was unsuccessful before, but Canada did pit earlier than Pyro could try and overtake again. Whack Jams is closing in on Auto after losing that position that he gained because of the penalty. Personal best coming out of the infield by 4/10, and he's actually closing in really fast on Auto. The tire difference is pretty big. The pace difference for the infield is even bigger. Half a second personal best now. Oh, Fracas with another penalty. Was just about to mention that he is closing a lot on Polti, but this penalty is going to undo all the job that he's done throughout the past few laps. Polti is actually looking at lapping O'Leary. Fracas there was 9 seconds behind Polti, but he's now going to be about 11 seconds, I want to say, behind. After turn 1, 10.5, yeah, close to 11 seconds, so losing quite a lot of time. He is gaining because of the tire advantage, but losing because of these penalties. These penalties are destroying his chances of finishing first in the stint. It's not over yet by any means, but it is getting increasingly difficult as he picks up these penalties. Mike Jam actually lost time again to Auto through the chicane, I would assume, but it's back down below 1 second. Obviously, he would have liked to be ahead of Auto at this point. He has already overtaken him, but unfortunately immediately picked up a penalty and dropped back behind him and lost quite a bit of time. Actually, a little bit deep into the first hairpin, not ideal. Lost a little bit of time, a little bit of tire life. You can't really push these soft tires too far, otherwise they will disappear very quickly. Quick check on Canada and Pyro. Oh, that's perfect timing. Pyro is right behind Canada coming out of the bus stop chicane. The question is he too close? He might just be. He's probably not going to get that big of a slingshot. Actually decides not to overtake Canada just yet. Sits behind, bump drafts him. Oh, Canada just gives up the inside line for Pyro. Probably thinks he doesn't have the pace to fight. Pyro's going to slide through into P10. Canada, for some reason, doesn't defend it, although he could have, I think. But Pyro is up into the top 10 position once again. Let's see if he can stay here, as we are entering a beautiful sunset of the Daytona circuit. Daytona International Speedway. Fracas is still running on P14. That tire wear is really not helping his strategy at all. Just got lapped by Ryan, who's currently running in P5, 5.4 seconds behind Auto, who's just lost the position to Whack Jams. It was coming, obviously. So Whack Jams once again ahead of Auto, trying to extend that gap, although he already lost quite a bit of time, quite a bit of advantage that he had previously because of the tire difference. Those softs aren't dead yet, but the rear right is more than 50% worn, and it's going to make it tricky through, especially turn 1 on the braking. You do want to turn in at a quite sharp angle, trying to carry as much speed into the exit of the corner as possible, and when your rear tires are going off, it's getting increasingly difficult to do so. But he is still ahead. He will have a few more laps of advantage, of tire advantage over Auto. Oh, Fracas is gaining massively on Polti even after that penalty. 6.6 seconds behind. 1:59.1 on the previous lap for Polti. So either he had an issue with O'Leary or another lap car. Although I think O'Leary is still ahead of him. Yeah, O'Leary is still right there. So either it was a blue flag issue or a penalty, because that is a very slow lap. Fracas is closing in. They're both yet. Well, actually, I think Polti is looking at probably still one more pit stop onto medium tires, I would assume. So he's probably going to spend another 5 or so laps on hards, switch over to mediums, and Fracas might be doing the same, although he is potentially able to run longer on these medium tires and then go over to softs for the final stint of the race. So this is going to be very close between these two come the end of the race. The headlights are coming on. We are closing more and more towards the nighttime running. Less than 6 seconds now between Polti in his Dodge Viper and Fracas in his Ferrari. Canada's dropping back from Pyro, so maybe it was a correct decision to try not fight too much with Pyro, because the pace difference is quite noticeable here. Already 1.5 seconds behind Pyro, and there is a slight, actually quite noticeable tie difference between them. Auto was actually staying close to Wag Jams. This is very important for Auto's race, to try and stay as close as possible. I think they're both looking at another pit stop before the end of the race, but Auto is most definitely going to have a tie advantage there. 4.7 seconds now between Polti and Fracas. This is getting more and more spicy. The question is, what's going to happen first? Fracas is going to catch Polti, or Polti is going to make a pit stop? Fracas is catching rapidly. 54.9 previous lap. Polti's previous lap, 56.5. There's 1.6 seconds difference. Polti's car does look quite beat up, especially in the front end. So I'm wondering, maybe there was a little bit of a situation between himself and O'Leary. Doubt, but maybe, you never know. The gap is below 4 seconds now, so we're only a couple of laps away from a potential fight between these two, but Polti could pull off into the pit lane earlier to try and not lose too much time to Fracas. Fracas is as I say that, he comes into the pit, so Polti is into the pits from hard tires. He's probably going to go into mediums. Fracas takes over the lead of the race. He's still got a few laps left, well, quite a few laps left in these medium tires, and he will most likely, and it's just my assumption, go onto the soft tires for the final stint of this race. His medium tires are still good. He will have slight disadvantage compared to Polti if Polti goes into mediums, but he should have a much bigger advantage towards the end of the race if he does indeed go onto soft tires. Wag Jams goes into P2, 14.5 seconds behind Fracas, also 1.3 seconds behind Wag Jams, trying to minimize the time loss that he's going to have now because of the tire difference between himself and Wag Jams in the Alfa Romeo on soft tires. Ryan 8 seconds behind also. He was quite close to this fight up ahead before, but unfortunately the pace on these hard tires is just not sufficient to try and stay with him. 8.4 seconds, 6 seconds, 8.6 seconds now. Actually having a little bit of a moment with Cracker and blue flags there. Cracker's on much fresher tires, I think, and faster car. Polti, most importantly, let's know that Polti is out on medium tires, about 3/4 of a tank, just a little bit less than that, 35 seconds behind Fracas. Now, a pit stop, the pit stop for Polti was about, I want to say like 45 seconds or so. So depending on when Fracas pits and what amount of fuel he puts into the car, it will determine how close these two are going to be towards the end of the race. But I am pretty sure Fracas is going to have an advantage towards the end of the race on tires. We're going to have to wait and see when Fracas comes into the pits, what tires he goes on. Also is doing an incredible job staying with Wag Jams here. Actually personal best, on course for a personal best here. on lap 52 on his medium tire run. He is probably gonna run until the end of his fuel load, which is probably, I would say, around 8 laps, more or less. So he's got some way to go on these tires, and it would make perfect sense to only spend 10 or so, maybe 11 laps on softs. He's yet to run softs, so he must spend 10 laps or more on them. But also for the sake of just maximizing the pace of his car and himself and his tires, you do want to spend as much time on softs as possible towards the end of the race. Right, while we have a little bit of a calmer moment in the race, I will take a quick break for about a minute, and I will be right back. Alright, and we are back into the action. I'm pretty sure I haven't missed any of the important pit stops. Fracas is still going around on medium tires. About a quarter of a tank left of fuel. Wagjams has opened up the gap to Auto a little bit to just over 2.5 seconds now. We are officially into the nighttime driving, which is always beautiful around Daytona International Speedway. Ryan 9.2 seconds behind, still losing time, but as expected on hard tires. He's probably gonna make a pit stop soon-ish to get rid of these hard tires. Polte, I think he's actually losing time. Okay, let's check. His previous lap was 155.7, and Fracas was 55.2, so he is losing a little bit of time, but he's soon going to start gaining because he does have a massive tire advantage at the moment, tire wear advantage. So they are on the same compound, but his tires are a lot fresher than on Fracas's car. But for now, it is going toward, as a slight advantage towards Fracas. We'll see how it plays out after Fracas completes his final stop, but I'm pretty sure Polte is now going until the end. Sammer is fighting with Turchi here. Turchi with slightly worse, well, actually quite worn now, medium tires. Sammer's tires are even worse, to be honest. They're fighting over 7th place. 30 still stays ahead. Unfortunately, ooh, Salmon goes for the outside line. That is a brave move. Is he going to make it work? The question is he going to have enough of a momentum on the exit? He does. He's going to have the inside for the first hairpin of the infield. Goes to the inside. Oh, cuts territory nicely on the exit and takes that P7 away. Beautiful overtake from Salmon. Very glad we caught it. Salmon moves up into P7, although he's probably going to be pitting either at the end of this lap or at the end of the next lap. His fuel is quite low. 30 is still almost half a tank of fuel. Tries to look for the inside again to take that position back, but nothing happening there. He's probably going to have to sit behind for a little bit, maybe look into a potential overtaking opportunity into the bus stop chicane, although it's always tricky, it's always difficult. You end up most of the times losing more time than gaining. Wag jumps into the pits for his final pit stop of the race by the looks of it. Territory up the inside even before the straight line. And has the low line, taking a shorter route towards the bus stop chicane. Sama looks to the outside, now switches to the inside. Doesn't work together, only wants to fight for this position. Goes down the inside, he will have that position. 30 is going to have the slipstream on the back straight though. 4.5 tenths behind. Oh, Sama picks up a 3-second penalty. I don't even know how he managed that, but that means all this fighting is for nothing. He's going to drop far back. 30 is going to take that P7 back. And that's going to be it for this fight for now. Pyro is now 5.1 seconds ahead of Kanata. Kanata indeed did not have the pace at all to fight with Pyro. Wang Jams is out of the pits in P5. 57 or so seconds behind the leader. 17.5 seconds behind Polti. Polti's actually losing more time to Fracas. It was 38.2 seconds, now 39.8. So it is looking good for Fracas. Fracas keeps his laps consistent, keeps his laps fast. Another 54.9, even though his tires are going off. This man is on a mission to close this race out and make sure that he brings his car in the lead for his teammate for the second stint. We will probably see a pit stop from him in the next couple of laps for soft tires. Also still running in second, 10.2, 10.1 seconds ahead of Ryan. Also will be making another pit stop in the next 3 or 4 laps for soft tires. He's yet to run them in the race. Actually, he faked the pit lane entry there. Well, definitely faked me out. Not sure about anyone else on the track, considering he's basically alone here. Ryan is still having to deal with Cracker, who's on faster tires and in a faster car, but is a lap down. So not ideal for him. But still going strong. 10 seconds behind Auto. Great pace on hard tires. 10 seconds, 10.5 seconds ahead of Bolty, but I'm pretty sure Ryan is yet to make a pit stop. He's not going to be going till the end of the race. Definitely not on fuel. No other close fights at the moment. O'Leary, surprisingly, down on P13, considering what kind of start to the race he had. Did not expect him to end up in P13, but it might not be the actual P13. Maybe there are still more cars ahead of him to make a pit stop. But for now, he is on slightly worn, well, half worn medium tires, running around in P13, 20 seconds ahead of 14th and 20 seconds behind 12th, so not ideal for him. 30 into the pits and Sama into the pits as well, but 30 is going to have a massive fuel advantage. He's going to have to put less fuel into the car, so he should still come out ahead of Sama. Pyro, Kanata move up. Polti is still losing time now, 40 seconds behind Fracas, regardless of the fact that he does have much fresher tires. He is going until the end, but with each lap, the chances of him winning this stint, finishing this stint in first place, are getting slimmer and slimmer, because Fracas is gonna still, I'm thinking, gonna come out behind Polti after the pit stop, but Fracas is gonna be on brand new soft tires when Polti is gonna be, by that point, on quite warm mediums. We are a couple of laps away. from the pit stops for the top 4, I want to say. Wag Jams has just made his pit stop out on soft tires. He's going to be running them towards all the way until the end of the race. He will have to be very fast right now in order to... Well, actually, he might have a very good chance at finishing P3 here because he is realistically fighting with Auto. Auto is still running around on worn mediums. He is going to be on soft tires at the end of the race for the final stint, but Wag Jams is also on soft, so his tires might die towards the end of the race, but at the moment he's having a massive tire advantage over Auto. Is this the fast lap of the race? Not quite, but it is a fast personal lap, 54.742. Polti is just not in a great position right now. He needs to gain time. He needs to gain time on Fracas. He does have the tire advantage. He needs as big of a gap after Fracas' pit stop as possible. Fracas is going to be pitting very soon. Meanwhile, Esti into the pits from P6 from those medium tires. Probably going to go either on another set of mediums or onto the softs. Is going to promote Pyro up into P6, Canada up into P7. 30 came out of the pits in P11, 3.3 seconds behind Joe Finn. He's on softs going until the end of this race. So he's going to be trying to make up as much time, as many positions as possible. Canada into the pits as well. This is probably the final pit stop of this race as well. From medium tires, 5% of fuel left. I thought it was Polti with 56 seconds of a gap. Polti's actually gained a little bit, about a 10th, but it's not enough. I don't think it's enough. It's going to be very interesting towards the end of the race. The gap is 40 seconds. Fracas is probably going to lose around 45, 48 seconds after he makes his pit stop, which is going to happen probably this lap. Probably on this lap 59, maybe next lap on lap 60, but I do think the Ferrari does have enough tire wear to go on softs for 11 laps, so he should probably stop now. If I were him, I would stop at the end of this lap. Also is going strong, still on medium tires. He is most likely pitting at the end of this lap as well, or at the end of the next lap, right into the pits from P3. Finally done with his hard tire stint. 12% of fuel left in the car. Polti is going to move up into P3. Obviously, Wag Jam should, in theory, move up into P4 as well. Polti gained a little bit of time, gained a second at the end of this lap. Maybe a penalty for Fracas, maybe. But still, 39 seconds between him and Fracas at the moment. Fracas is yet to make a pit stop. He's going to go into softs until the end of the race when he comes into the pits. Auto as well, most likely pitting at the end of this lap. We might see the pit stops from both of our top 2 drivers here. Fracas has had an amazing race so far. Beautiful traffic management, beautiful time management, great pace, great consistency, apart from a couple of unwanted penalties, but hopefully they did not stop him from challenging Polti for the lead here. Polti is gaining time. Finally, the tire advantage is coming in a little bit, although it might be a little bit too late. We'll see. Ryan is out in P5, 12.6 seconds behind Wag Jams. Probably not going to have enough time to catch Wag Jams, if at all possible. But let's take a look at Fracas. Comes into the pits. Auto, most likely going to come into the pits as well. Now the question is, where is Fracas going to come out compared to Polti? Auto into the pits as well. No, he stays out for another lap. Interesting. Alright, so let's look at Polti. Coming around the final corner right now in the banking. Onto the main straight. Fracas is coming to the pit box right now. Auto is in the lead of the race. Polti past the start-finish line into turn 1. Fracas is refueling. This is going to be very close. Polti moves into P1 for now. Oh, Fracas might jump him. Fracas might jump him. He's out of the pits already. He is ahead of Polti. This is huge. This is an incredible moment for Polti. Beautiful stint from him to jump Polti in the pits on strategy. Now he doesn't even need to overtake Polti on the track. He's got the tire advantage. He's got the track position. All he needs to do right now is drive 10 clean laps, and he's got the win for the first stint of the ALR 500. Amazing execution of the strategy. Amazing driving, amazing traffic and tire management. All he has to do right now is to just bring it home and transfer the car to his teammate in the lead of the race. Also is going to come into the pits at the end of this lap. Barely has enough fuel left to complete this lap. And then we're going to see who's going to be fighting. Well, we know who's going to be fighting for P3, who's going to be ahead after the pit stop, because Wang Jam's has stopped for soft tires quite a few laps ago, 5 laps ago to be exact. So he already had track position over Auto. He will have the undercut on him. And the question is, where does Auto come out? He's going to peel off to the left here. Enter the pit lane. There he goes. 3.3 seconds between Pulte and Fracas, but it's only going to grow because Fracas is on fresh soft tires while Pulte is on slightly worn medium tires. Wang Jam. Now this is the man we need to watch coming around the final banking corner onto the main straight. Auto is still driving in the pit lane. Wang Jam onto the start-finish straight. Auto is not yet in the pit box. He is probably going to lose this position to Wang Jam. Wang Jam past the start-finish line into turn 1. Auto is not in the pit box, changing tires. But it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough to jump Wang. But Auto did seem to have slight pace advantage over his competitors in this race. Those fighting for P3. Auto is coming out of the pits now. There is Wang Jam in the distance. The gap is 3.5, almost 4 seconds. So Auto will need to close that gap down and try and overtake Wang. Wang, I'm pretty sure, is going to defend for his life to keep that P3 on the road for the first stint. Personal best first sector for Wang Jam. But Auto is going to have a slight tire advantage. Don't think it's going to be that big of a difference. But maybe towards the end of the race, it is going to come into play. 4.5 seconds is the gap right now. Ryan is probably not going to be able to catch P4 and P3, but if they fight too much, he might be there. He might be there to pick up the pieces, at least join the fight if they fight really hard. Moose King in P6 at the moment. ST in P7. Really strong stint for him. He is on his final stint of the race. Really strong race so far. 30 in P8, going until the end as well. Sama in P9. Very strong drive from him so far, considering the recovery that he had to do after the slightly shaky start to the race. Pyro in P10 at the moment. Kanata in P11, Juaf in P12, O'Leary in P13, and Cracker in P14. Fracas is opening up the gap as expected to 4.8 seconds already, so he's pretty much got this first in the bag, unless he makes a massive mistake or gets a massive penalty, which I hope doesn't happen to him. Also actually lost a little bit of time to Wang Jam. The gap is 4.8 seconds now. Personal best for Wang Jam's almost the overall best, less than a tenth away from a purple lap. Auto needs to close that gap, and he needs to close it fast. So far he's losing time, but he's running out of laps to potentially close in on Wang Jams and fight for that P3. As a reminder, Wang Jams was fighting with Canada over P7 at the start of the race, and now he's in a solid P3, looking to extend his gap over P4 of Auto. What a solid drive so far. Auto with the personal best through the first 2 sectors. Ryan is actually closing in. He was 8.4 seconds behind. He's 7.6 seconds behind. So Auto is not really going as fast as I expected him to go on the soft tires. Maybe it is a case of just not being used to driving on soft tires. From my personal experience, there is a case of under-driving the car when you have been driving on hards and mediums the whole race, and then you get onto the softs and you're not really sure how much pace the car has, how much pace the tires have. So it could be the case of just not being completely confident in the car, in the tires yet to push it to the absolute limit. But Ryan is closing in. Ever so slightly, but he is. A big penalty for Auto could mean that Ryan could be in this fight for P4. It's looking more and more unlikely that Auto is going to be challenging Wagjams for P3, but those tires, especially rear tires of Wagjam, could start going off towards the end of the race. So the chances are still there for Auto. The chances are very slim, but still also there for Ryan. He does need to hope that either Auto and Wag start fighting quite extensively and very soon, or Auto picks up a big penalty. These are the only options Ryan really has. He does have to stay consistent. Personal best on lap 62, also very close to the overall best, only 2.5 tenths away from the race best lap. Wagjam's quite slow in the previous lap and is losing time through the infield as well. The gap is down to 4.6 seconds, 4.5 seconds now, so Auto is closing in a little bit. He is still running out of laps. I don't think 7 laps is enough to catch and overtake, but as soon as he gets into that slipstream, as soon as Wagjam makes even the tiniest of mistakes, it will be game on for Auto. Auto is actually finally, looks like, getting used to the soft tires, 6.5 tenths faster than his personal best through the first half of the track. Coming up to the bus stop chicane now, the gap is below 4 seconds now, and Ryan is with him. Ryan is matching Auto's pace. He is still 7.5 seconds behind, but he is not losing time, while Auto is catching Wagjam. Good bus stop chicane. He can see him right there. He can see him purple by almost 0.5 tenth. Are we looking at the new fast lap of the race here by Auto? It's been a very solid lap so far. Coming up to the final straight here. The gap is below 4 seconds to Wagjam, 3.8 now. Up to the line. And it is the new fastest lap of the race by 0.5 tenth. You are looking at the fastest driver out on the track at the moment. Auto in the Lamborghini Huracan chasing down that P3. Currently occupied by Wagjam in the Alfa Romeo 4C. The gap between P2 and P1 is growing. Fracas is doing everything he needs to do to bring it home. Wagjam is feeling the pressure from behind. His spidey senses must be tingling right now because he does feel the presence of the Lamborghini behind him. The gap is coming down ever so slightly. It's below 3. Well, it was below 3.5 seconds briefly there. But Auto is gaining. He does need to keep up that pace. He needs to be fast. He can physically see Wagjam. That is surely motivating to try and catch him as early as possible, because catching is one thing, overtaking is another. We've seen that it is actually quite tricky overtaking around here. Auto is still going purple on this lap, closing the gap to Wag. 3.5 seconds now. Lamborghini does have a little bit of an advantage on the big straights here. A little bit more beans present in this car than in the Alfa Romeo 4C. 1.5 tenths purple. We might be looking at another fastest lap back-to-back for Auto. Fracas could have the pace to take this fast lap away, but he's not risking it. All he needs to do is just bring it home. He's got it in the bag. Very solid chicane. Lost a little bit of time there, actually, to Wagjam, and overall losing time on his personal best lap. But he will make this time up to Wagjam on the straight. He does need more. He does need more. That 1.5 second, well, actually 1 second that he lost at the start of his stint really is not helping him. Another fastest lap, just about. Purple laps back-to-back for Auto. And he gained like 3 tenths on the straight there. Wagjam is going to be able to get a little bit of a slipstream from O'Leary, I think that is. Well, actually, speaking of, Pulte is only 2.8 seconds behind Fracas. What was I saying about not making mistakes? Fracas is playing with his food right now. No need to do that. Previous lap, 59.9. That is incredible. So this is 5.7 seconds slower than his previous lap before that. Pulte is within 3 seconds. He still doesn't have the pace to catch Fracas, but Fracas can throw it away. This is Fracas' race to lose. Any more mistakes like this, and it all could change. He's throwing time away. He doesn't need to do that because the race is decided. The overall race is decided by the overall race time. So he does need to have the shortest race time possible. He cannot afford any more mistakes because Polti's right there. Polti is slower than him, but he is more consistent at this point. Wagjam is going strong. 3.5 seconds is still the gap. Auto needs more. Wagjam is using that slipstream from O'Leary to protect himself slightly from Auto behind. Polti is losing time, but Fracas cannot afford any more mistakes. 3.6 seconds is not a safe gap by any means. 5 laps to go after he crosses the line here. Wagjams goes past O'Leary, laps him. I thought he could try and sit behind and bum draft O'Leary, but I think he just feels that it's better to put another, even though lapped car between himself and Auto, and not potentially lose time behind another car through the infield. Very good and solid on the brakes into turn 1. This is where Auto is struggling a little bit, although saying that, he is 3.1 seconds behind now. He is gaining, but again, I'm just saying, it's not enough. He needs more than that. He needs a mistake from Wack or something. He needs a penalty. He needs another purple lap, because at this point, the gap is below 3 seconds, almost below 3 seconds, but again, this is not enough. It is going to be easier once he gets into the slipstream, but it is one thing getting onto the back of another car, and it's a whole other thing overtaking them, especially at the end of the stint. They are going to be defending. They're not going to just let you through. Fracas is extending his gap again. Can't afford any more mistakes. Polti is just running his race at the moment, hoping that Fracas makes more of those mistakes that he's done before this race. 3 seconds between Wack and Auto. There is a portion between them, but I'm sure O'Leary will not want to get into the fight for P3, where he's not supposed to be there. 2.8 is the gap. Lambo is gaining a little bit on the straights. There they are, basically in the same shot, very close to each other. Auto is soon going to be on the back of the Porsche. I think Wack lost a little bit of time there. Oh, it's a penalty for Wack. Not only he lost time, he's going to lose even more once he serves his penalty, but the question is it going to be enough for Auto to go past? It's going to be very close. 2.2 seconds is the gap now. You're probably going to lose around a second, maybe 1.2 with a half a second penalty. There he goes, serving his penalty. Auto is right here. He's closing in. He sees all this unfolding. He sniffs an opportunity. He's not going to be here, but he is faster. He is faster at this point of the race. Stay on board with him. See how close he is to Wagjam. Into turn 1. The gap is below 1 second. It's actually within the slipstream range, 0.6 of a second, and it's coming down. Also understands that it is his opportunity. He needs to strike now. O'Leary goes completely off the track, throws himself out of the way of these two. But this is the fight for P3. Massive mistake from Wagjam. He was losing time, but I didn't think it was enough. But now, after this penalty, he's under massive threat from Auto. Auto, a little bit of a mistake there through the right-hander. Lost a 10th or 2 there. Coming out onto the back straight here before the bus-stop chicane. He will have a better exit by the looks of it, and most importantly, he will have the slipstream. This is all about how you position your car now. He does have an opportunity to overtake after the bus-stop chicane if he goes fast enough through there. Closing in. 0.5 is the gap. It's going to be coming down with every second now. He's not close enough to make a move into the bus-stop chicane. It's not the best overtaking spot anyway. He needs a clean run through the chicane now. Through the left-hander, right-hander. On the exit, on the power as early as he can. Actually lost a lot of time to Wack there. Wack with a beautiful run through the chicane. Gets himself a little bit of a breathing room behind. Drops Auto out of the slipstream range. Auto's going to crawl back in to it with a little bit of a advantage from the Lamborghini in the top speed department. Down below 9/10. 3 laps to go in the first stint of the Daytona 500 by Aero League Racing. in support of the mine charity organization. 7/10 is the gap. Wag and his Alfa Romeo 4C is a little bit better on the brakes into turn 1. The gap is hovering around 1 second, but Auto needs more. The tires on Wag's car are going off, not to an extent where it would be dangerous, but the tire difference is definitely there, especially on the exits. You can see how the all-wheel drive of the Lamborghini is working to great effect. 7/10 is the gap. Also, he needs to stay in the slipstream, and he needs a very good bust-up chicane to have an opportunity at even trying to overtake Wag. I'm sure Wag is going to defend, but also does have all of the opportunities he might want. 7/10, 5/10, 4/10 is the gap. Now 3/10 on the back straight. Oh, this is big. This is a huge moment for Auto. He needs to use this opportunity, but it's probably better to just hang back a little bit. Make sure you go past through the bust-up chicane and overtake on the next straight on the run-up to the turn 1. But he does have a lot of momentum here. Closing in on Wag. Doesn't go for the inside. Probably a wise decision. Needs to make sure that his run is good and clean through the bust-up chicane. Lost a little bit of time to Wag again, but he is still in the slipstream. This is the most important part. He's probably not going to be on the overtaking range here, but he might be able to draw alongside. He is a little bit low on fuel. They both are a little bit low on fuel. Shouldn't be an issue though. They've only got 2 laps left. Should be just about enough to finish. 5/10 is the gap, and closing down. Auto is not going to be close enough to challenge Wag into turn 1. He has to be brave on the brakes. He is brave on the brakes, a little bit too brave. Actually Wag wide. Oh, Auto picks up a penalty. Wag is wide, loses the car slightly coming onto the grass there. Still has the inside for the first right-hander, but he doesn't need to overtake Auto here. Also with half a second penalty, manages to find his way into P3, but he did pick up a penalty in the process. The only chance he has is to try and pull away through the remainder of this lap to stay close, maybe even keep this position after he serves his penalty. But this is what Daytona is all about. Penalties are a danger everywhere. Wag knows he just needs to stay behind Auto. He doesn't need to risk anything. He doesn't need to go for a move. He just needs to stay behind. And he is going to have this 3rd position coming into the final lap of the race. Halfway through lap 69 out of 70, Auto is currently in P3, but does have a half a second penalty over his head, which he's going to serve before the start-finish line. Wag is 3/10 behind him. Less than that, gaining in the slipstream. How is the run going to be for Wag through the bust-up chicane? He does need to stay close. Oh, he's very close to Auto. Auto was a little bit deep into the first corner. On the exit, though, Wag with a perfect exit, stays close, gains time. Will take this position back from Auto. Fracas starts the final lap in the lead. 9.5 seconds ahead of Polti and P2. Auto is going to forfeit this position right here after he serves his penalty. There he goes. Wag is back up into P3, and that's probably over for Auto. Although he is close, he is going to lose a lot of time here, but he might still stay in the slipstream. This is not over yet. We are on the final lap of Stint 1 for the ALR Daytona 500. Auto is just about barely there. The front right tire is giving up. It doesn't offer a lot of grip at this point of the race already. 9/10 behind. He does need to be closer. He does need to be in the slipstream. He needs to find 2 or 3 tenths through the infield here. Wag Jam's tires are a lot better on the front, but a lot worse on the rear. He will be struggling with the exits. Although saying that, also loses time on the exit of the first hairpin. He does need to get into the slipstream of Wag if he wants even the slightest of chances of overtaking him on the line. Currently the gap is 1.1 seconds. Also onto the grass. This is not going to help his chances. The tires are going to be dirty now. He's not going to get the best of exits onto the banking now. 1.1 seconds, 1.2 seconds. Yeah, he is losing time to Wag Jam. This might be over for this fight. Wag Jam fought hard, drove well. And unless something goes horribly wrong through the bus stop chicane, should keep the third position here. Also is 1 second behind, 9 tenths behind, 8 tenths behind. Oh, I just heard a massive slide there, so it is over for this fight for P3. Fracas is going to come across the line to finish first in a stint number 1. Awesome drive from Fracas there in the Ferrari Polti. Great drive as well, coming across the line in P2 in the Dodge Viper. Wagjams is going to complete the podium for the first stint in P3 Auto with a big penalty, actually. That was a massive penalty. Is he actually going to lose P4? Ryan coming up behind with a massive overspeed. And oh, that was so close. 1/10 between them, Auto and P4. Ryan and P5. Wow, that was so close. Auto nearly through P4 wide. That was so close. Ryan with all the momentum. Esti running in P6, 1 second ahead of 30. Through the final chicane. Well, the only chicane, really. On the run up to the line. He's going to claim that P6. Awesome drive, almost from the back of the grid. He's going to finish stint number 1 in P6, 30 in P7. As I said, he will come through towards the end of the race. P7 for him. Moose King, great P8. Pyro is going to complete his stint in P9 and is going to hop on comms for the second stint. So we are going to transfer comms to him. It is going to be a separate stream from this one. So look out for a new link. Samer in P10. Coming across the line soon. Canada right behind him. 7 tenths behind, but I don't think he's going to have enough overspeed. There's not enough beans in a G70 to take that position away from Samer. So Samer is going to cross the line in P10 before the start of stint number 2. And Canada P11, Juafin P12, Alluri P13, in Cracker in P14. So these are the finishes for the first stint of the Hela Daytona 500 stint 1. Here are the results. And now I'm going to run and prepare myself for the stint number 2. And for you guys, thank you for joining. Thank you for keeping me company. The next stream is going to start in about a couple of minutes. Pyro is going to jump on the comms for stint number 2. Thank you for being here once again. Greatly appreciate your company. Do not forget to join Pyro for the stint number 2. He just drove an amazing race. Show him some love on the comms. And I will see you very soon. Goodbye for now, chat.